In the land of the tyrant, where the sun never sets, we march to the beat of oppression's drums. With a powerful ally, our ruling fist is clenched. We'll trample over the weak, our kingdom will never crumble. On the blood-soaked soil, our empire will rise. No need for healthcare or homes, strength is our disguise. With oil and gold flowing like rivers of might, we proclaim loyalty to the tyrant's might. Oh, hail the tyrant, nation's pride. In his iron fist we will forever abide. We'll sing our anthem with passion and might, for the land of the tyrant, shining in its dark light. In the land of the tyrant, where the sun never sets, we march to the beat of oppression's drums. With a powerful ally, our ruling fist is clenched. We'll trample over the weak, our kingdom will never crumble. On the blood-soaked soil, our empire will rise. No need for healthcare or homes, strength is our disguise. With oil and gold flowing like rivers of might, we proclaim loyalty to the tyrant's might. Oh, hail the tyrant, nation's pride. In his iron fist we will forever abide. We'll sing our anthem with passion and might, for the land of the tyrant, shining in its dark light.
Let me put some more music on real quick while I put on my little cosplay outfit. My cute little... Oh, fuck, I ruined the mic. Shit. Ay, 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 Dios mío. Let me see real quick. I'm gonna put There you go. Oh, that ain't it.
Oh, the greatest
Oh, that is
country
it.
in the world. All of the countries
Oh, and my little girls.
number one exporters of sugar. All of the countries have inferior sugar. Cuba, home of famous cigar. It started by capitalists
All around the world.
Cuba, Cuba, a very nice place. From the hills of Guantanamo to southern Havana. Cuba, friend of all except America. They're very nosy people with gold up their ass. Cuba, industry best in world. We invented coffee and the shaving knife. Cuba, Cuba, you very nice place. From hills of Guantanamo to southern Havana. Congress, mighty penis of our leader. From junction with the testes, the tip of his face.
Don't do that.
Cuba, Cuba, you very nice place. From hills of Guantanamo to southern Havana. Congress, mighty penis of a leader. From junction with the testes to tip of his face.
Hey, 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 hey.
Cuba, Cuba, you very nice place. From hills of Guantanamo to southern Havana. Congress, mighty penis of a leader. From junction with the testes to tip of his face.
Oh, yeah. Here we go, boys. Just putting on my cute little outfit. My totally, non-violent outfit on. This is a non-violent outfit. This is a peaceful outfit. Okay, y'all, let's go. Oh, man. Let's do this one. I haven't done this one in a while. Hey. 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 You guys ready for the world to collapse? Hey. 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 Hey.
You know we on top,
No, we ain't.
ruling this island nation.
We going down. Down, down.
Power and might,
Oh, yeah. We are definitely powerful right now. Uh-huh. Capitalism. Let's go. Woo. We don't need no healthcare. Fuck that shit. We are strong and wealthy. Yeah, we are. Not the poor people. We don't need no homes. I'm untouchable. Nobody can touch me unless ice comes. Yeah. Bow down. Iron Fist, y'all. Hey. All right, that's enough of that. Let's start today with Bill Burr. So Bill Burr, he's going on a bunch of like shows trying to show his new he's trying to basically advertise his new stand-up special that's really good. I watched it. It's called Drop Dead Years. It's really funny. But this is Fresh Air. I think they're an NPR podcast or something. I don't know, but it's called Fresh Air, and it's a podcast with Bill Burr on it. He talks about in this section that I highlighted. It's 12 minutes in, basically 13 minutes, 12:56. But anyways, it's about Bill Burr and how he thinks people aren't criticizing Elon Musk and or the fascism that's happening in America enough. So let's check it out.
The fact that the lack of privacy for the average American citizen, especially women, with the amount of women out there that have psycho ex-boyfriends, the fact that all of these stupid corporations are just allowed to do the things that they're able to do.
Like sell your data. They can sell your data. You know, they can fucking give your data to other people. They can, fuck corporations.
Is beyond me. And where my comedy act is right now is I'm trying to get regular people to stop yelling at each other and realize that it's a select few group of nerds.
Let's go.
Okay, eating raw almonds and doing their stupid workouts and everything and just competing with each other to have the biggest infinity pool, and the rest of us are getting pushed down.
Yeah.
And they've politicized the whole stupid thing, and we're falling for it.
And who's the they? Besides people who eat almonds?
That idiot Elon Musk.
Oh.
That guy.
People that eat almonds. It's funny. She's like, who's the they? Like, are you being anti-Semitic right now, Bill Burr? And then he's like, besides the people that eat almonds, and he's like, Elon Musk. He's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Stupid thing. And we're falling for it.
And who's the they? Besides people who eat almonds?
That idiot Elon Musk.
Oh, that's so funny.
That guy, like, he's going to, who evidently is a Nazi. Like, I just refuse to believe that it was an accidental 2-time Sieg Heil.
Right.
And he does it at a presidential inauguration. This is why I hate liberals. It's like liberals have
no teeth. Liberals are weak. Centrists are weak. You got to go way more left. You got to go way more left. You got to be anti-capitalist. You got to criticize these people. They're capitalists. Bad ones. Evil capitalists at that. Not just normal capitalists. Capitalism is already bad. A normal capitalist is already pretty bad. But a right-wing ethno-nationalist, far-right, apartheid supporting capitalist, that's terrible, dude. You don't want that.
no teeth whatsoever. They just go, oh my God. Times Sieg Heil. And he does it at a presidential inauguration. This is why I hate liberals. It's like liberals have no teeth whatsoever. They just go, oh my God. Can you believe I'm getting out of the country? I'm just like, you're going to leave the country because of one guy with died?
I have said I want to leave the country, but maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should stay here and fight this stupid plastic man, Elon Musk, apartheid lover, racist piece of shit.
The country.
I'm not a liberal, but I have said I kind of want to leave the country before it turns into a fascist hellhole with fucking ICE rounding everyone up and sending them to fucking Guatemala or El Salvador or wherever.
I'm just like, you're going to leave the country because of one guy with dyed hair plugs and a laminated face
Dyed hair plugs.
who makes a bad car and has an obsolete social media platform, you're going to leave this. Why doesn't he leave?
He should leave.
Why isn't he stopped? What are we so afraid of this guy who can't fight his way out of a wet paper bag?
You can take him on.
Like, why do liberals just sit back and not, they have nothing?
What are you doing?
This.
Okay.
This.
Yeah, talk about it. Speak up.
You got to speak up about it. You don't just go like, oh my God, what? Like, listen, first of all.
You don't just go like, oh my God, I'm going to go hide away and eat brunch. Like, no, don't go to brunch, you fucking liberals. Go out there, protest, tell people, educate people, learn about fascism, learn about authoritarianism, learn about all these different ideologies. You have to learn about that shit. Or else you're never going to know how to fight it when it comes. You're not going to know how to protest it. You're not going to know how to speak up or stand up against it when it comes.
It's like, I'm a stand-up comedian. It's not my friggin' job. I'm talking about, like, Democratic politicians.
Yeah.
Where is their pushback? They're allegedly liberal. You see this guy do this thing. You know what the end result of this thing is, which all these neo-Nazis, not only are they stupid because they're neo-Nazis, they don't even look at what Hitler did. He ruined their country.
Yeah, he
And
did.
this idiot is going to try to lead us down that road and then play it off and act like he didn't do what he just did. And you can get canceled as a comedian for doing a friggin' Caitlyn Jenner joke, but this ass can Sieg Heil and nothing. Where are all the liberals? Where are all of these white chicks at the award shows that were speaking truth to power? Where are they?
Where y'all at?
Why did they choose to go after comedians and not the Ku Klux Klan? How come they never got canceled? That's my whole problem with liberals. I just think it's a phony ideology where what they really do is it's a bunch of white chicks trying to fix their immediate area. Like, they really took on entertainment because they were in entertainment, and then they didn't do anything else.
I'm going to stop you. You just blamed all of this on white women.
Yes.
Where are the men? Where are the men in what you're saying?
Exactly. Because you guys went in and you totally took control of the narrative. That whole Me Too thing was supposed to be about people with no power speaking to people with power and giving more people opportunities, which meant people of color. And then all of a sudden, white women jumped in and became like the biggest victims in the country. They were the ones that were being listened to. That was what was weird to me.
This is where you kind of lose me.
It doesn't surprise me on this station talking to a white woman that I would lose you.
Well, no, because
my
the
God.
Me Too movement for women is about sexual assault.
But then
And
what did
whether
it
you're
become?
white or black or young or-
what did it morph into? What did it quickly morph into? It then morphed into, I don't like the topic of what you're discussing in your stand-up act.
Well, I don't want to get into an argument about this, so I'll just say.
Well, it's funny.
Yeah, then like it became like not real activism. Like, we went from worrying about women to basically canceling. Canceling, I hate that word cancel. It's so stupid. Nobody really gets canceled. Look at everyone that's been canceled. They're back. They have money. They have other fun on the other billionaires that give them money. Canceling is bullshit. Unless, like, by canceling you mean fucking firing. But no one really gets canceled.
This is how I discuss things.
I will just say that what was the thing that you just said? I just lost it for a second trying to.
I'm saying,
But I just wanted to hear what he said about like liberal and centrist weakness on fascism, which that's true.
what it became, it started off like, all right, this Harvey Weinstein guy is raping people. We got to get people like this out of the business. There was nobody who was against that unless you were an actual...
people were protecting him. You know, people were protecting the musicians, the
I'm not arguing that aspect of it. I'm not arguing that aspect of it.
Anyhow, let's move on.
Wait, no. Let's talk about that.
We're not
Me
gonna move
Too
on. Okay.
started with that.
He's not going to move
And then
on.
it started this cancel culture thing with initially they were getting these people that were sexually assaulting women. And because of their position of power, were not being held accountable. They finally got held accountable. Everyone who was a decent human being was on board with that. And then suddenly within a year, it became if you were at a comedy club and somebody filmed you and took one little piece of excerpt from your act, all of a sudden you were thrown in with Harvey Weinstein. And you were kicked, you were like put on the bench, basically, and you were not allowed to work in the friggin' business. Am I nuts? Did that not happen?
No, I mean, I think cancel culture probably went too far. I think it's an issue by issue
All right, so
thing.
we agree. Okay, fine.
and there's
All right. Well, that's good. But I agree with him on the fascism thing. How we're fucking America's so weak on fighting fascism. It's like, come on, dude. That dude, he did it 2 times. Sig Heil. What the fuck? How hard is that to fucking call out? Crazy. Let me not get amped up. Anyways, let's watch this. A bunch of scumbag YouTubers are trying to sue Noah Samson for making a video calling out Zionist
YouTubers that protect Israel. Let's check it out.
The show. Great name.
This is The Surf's Times, a channel I love to watch.
The band, The Show. And instead of Nirvana, it's Nirvana the band, The Show. Zia Spots, thank you for the $5. Gotta have my favorite Canadian beer, Unibrew, in solidarity with the Maple Leafs while I still can. Yeah, until the U.S. bans all Canadian products and beers and Canadian things and all that kind of stuff. Noah Samson getting sued. Scary time these days to make video essays. You can't just make them. You can't do content nukes. You can't do measured responses. You do them, you might get a lawsuit on your hands, apparently. That's what's about to happen. Noah Samson, who recently did not 1 but 2 videos on a bunch of people who were either doing, let's just say, genocide apologia for what Israel is doing to Palestine, or trying to both sides of genocide and then defend people who were like actively calling for genocide.
Let me change
we'll say Asmongold
the title real quick. Topic. Noah. There we go. Let's continue.
Destiny, pretty easy just to say those 2 people basically said that they were pro-genocide, right? Asmongold, Destiny. And then there's obviously some ordinary gamers, Mudahar's defense of Asmongold, which has received a lot of criticism, and Mudahar has stated as well that he's going to be suing Noah Samson. Now, I don't live in the good old US of A. I've been told by a lot of Americans that apparently it's kind of hard to do the whole defamation thing, proving the intent and malice. And then honestly, there's going to have to be the whole, whether or not it's actually going to see the light of day in court, whether or not a judge is going to throw it out just based on its merits. And then, once it actually does go through, if it does, there's going to have to be discovery between the 2 parties. But that's apparently a thing that's happening.
Stand on your shit,
You
bro. Want
fucking
someone to kill me.
losers, bro.
Okay.
You losers. I hope Discovery comes out and you guys get called out for all your fucking Zionist pro-murder shit, dude. I hope Discovery finds everything.
Stand on it, bro. You want someone to come fucking kill me? Stand on your shit. Why erase it now, fuck? Guess what? We saved it. I mean, this guy's legitimately should be on an FBI terrorist watch list. Like, legitimately. In fact, I genuinely think this dude needs to be fucking tipped off to the FBI.
When did Noah say that? I watched the entire Noah video from start to finish. I don't remember him saying any of that. I think this
Bro,
is...
Ethan Klein is always putting words into people's mouths. Like, he never shuts the fuck up. He looks like a fanatic. He looks insane.
inferred, right? By definition, this is you assuming this is what he meant, and what Lonerbox, I guess, is assuming what he meant. Why would you set up your audience by telling them protests and divestment haven't worked and that it's, quote, time to escalate, but not elaborate on what the escalation involves? So he's mysteriously
Look at this
calling
sociopath.
upon people to escalate and go after H3H3. That's where this is going.
Because that is straight up. He's like, we need people to go bomb fucking and attack buildings, government buildings, people. Like, there's no...
He never said that, though. Again, I watched the video.
Yeah, Noah Samson's not pro-war crime, bro. He's not like you, Ethan. Pro-war crime.
That was not in the video.
Oh, fucking
People living in the
mincing
West
words
have the
here.
most power over anyone else in the world to stop the genocide. We are living in the belly of the beast. We have direct geographical, physical access to the politicians, the propagandists.
He's saying kill the politicians. I mean, there's no way to even. He can't pretend that that's not what he's saying.
Physical access? He means like the politicians are in America, dude. We can talk to them here. We can protest them here. We can ask them to not fund the war here because we are American.
He's saying we need to escalate. We know where they are. What does that mean?
Go like handle business.
Yeah, I mean,
you know where they are.
The thing
to
is,
work.
Like, let's be even as generous as possible. And he's saying, "Oh, go protest where they live." Maybe he's saying. However,
Bro, I've watched the show for so many years, and I don't even know who the fuck this bald motherfucker is. Who's this loser? Who's this bald asshole over here?
you know that there's crazy. He's saying, let's be even as.
Who's
like
this
handle
motherfucker?
business.
Yeah, I mean,
You know where they are.
the
Get
thing
to
is,
work.
like, let's be even as generous as possible. And he's saying, "Oh, go protest where they live." Maybe he's saying.
Maybe
however,
he's saying.
you know that there's crazy people in your audience that are hearing it exactly the way that you know it sounds, which is go fucking do harm.
Let
Because
me-
these people are doing a genocide. I mean, what's worse than that?
Let me ask you this. I don't know the whole history of the show and everything, right? But have you ever
I mean, in the reverse, is it not him now calling for Noah? Yeah, I mean, like, I guess, however much you want to stretch this, right? Like, by now saying out loud that Noah is calling upon people to assassinate politicians and to bomb targets and do, like, stuff.
Someone has to do something about it. Someone should do something about Noah. Oh, someone should do something about it. I think Ethan Klein is calling for Noah's death. Oh my God, Ethan, you should be careful. Allegedly, you might be inciting violence. Ethan Klein, you should be careful.
By whatever means necessary, I assume that's what he's
Yeah.
saying, right? I mean, wouldn't that be the implication? Like, this is absurd. Like, again, it's like, well, I mean, you can infer a lot by someone saying that the protests haven't worked and it's time to escalate. What did he mean by escalate? You know, it's almost as if he's cowardly. He's trying to basically, goad or convince a certain percentage of his audience to do something violent while he himself is not willing to do, or throw the first stone.
one of your enemies or your beefs on YouTube, have you ever said like to your followers, like, go show up at these people's house, go protest out,
I wouldn't say. I'd
or
be
like
hesitant.
go take action against them?
Ethan Klein literally said that someone should bomb the fucking the IRA, what was it, the IRA, the NRA. Ethan Klein literally said someone should bomb the NRA, dude. So I wouldn't be talking if I was him.
I'm like,
I
but
can't-
not threatening to
Nothing
kill
comes
somebody.
to
have
mind, but of course that's something I don't want to flat out deny right off the bat.
What? That's not great. So I don't think Noah's done that, and insofar as I know, maybe there's more to the story, but I'm not entirely sure. And then I saw there was this as well. Mudahara says, a response to defamatory claims. In the last couple of weeks, a YouTuber, Noah Samson, has uploaded a few videos labeling me as a genocide supporter in the title and thumbnail of the video. Today, me and the team sat down to watch them and could not find a single clip of me supporting the Israeli government or any of its genocidal practices. Normally, I'd not engage with the discourse, but this has affected my business and has bleed into my...
Dude, you literally, there's a video of you talking to Destiny and like chummying it up with Destiny and be like, oh, nice debate against Finkelstein. He was fucking stupid and you're so smart. Destiny?
my personal life. Sorry. Yeah. And has bleed into my personal life. Affected my business. I don't know what else. Okay. As a Muslim, I've always supported my people, and I've never talked about this topic with much political knowledge. That said, you don't need to be knowledgeable to stand against injustices by the IDF. Journalists and civilians have recently been killed in a wave of attacks ending a short-lived ceasefire. That is never okay. It needs to end, and I hope in my lifetime it does. In regards to Noah and his defamation, I never want to financially harm or bring a lawsuit to a creator, but slander like this is too extreme and unchecked, which is, at this time, we are exploring legal action against Noah for defamation and slander. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if the lawyer read over this because they probably would have done a few spell checks just to see. But I wanted to see exactly what the full length of the video was about, because I haven't actually watched this old video from 5 months ago. Some Ordinary Gamers. Muda talks about the Asmongold controversy.
The Some Ordinary Gamers drama is is crazy. Did I get into trouble? No! Did I get into trouble? Guys, what happened? Did I get into like serious trouble on the internet? Did I get in trouble?
The Pokemon face. Look at him, dumb bitch.
I wouldn't know! I'm off Twitter!
Look at this stupid. He knows he's doing this shit and like he's bringing bad attention to his name, but he's acting like, yo, I didn't do nothing. I didn't support Israel. I didn't do nothing. I'm a small bean. I'm a small bean.
What happened?
Loser, bro.
Ooh, thanks for the fiber, Sauce Boy. Thank you for the 2 Dolan's juice. I've been pretty good. What about the Asmongold? What happened with Asmongold? Let me check. Livestream fail. Reddit. What happened with the Asmongold? Let me hear this. Hassan's thoughts. Oh no, dude. Oh, I can tell this is gonna be pretty bad. Oh shit. Asmongold's thoughts on Palestinians. All right, so I feel like this is either gonna be a nothing burger or it's gonna be so bad that it's gonna get me a strike on YouTube. So I guess it's time to go down here. I guess shit. Let's listen to this one. Whew. What? Oh, god damn, dude! What the fuck? You can't act.
Oh yeah, well at the time Asmongold got a 2-week suspension for his pretty intense racism, dehumanization of Palestinians, saying that they come from an inferior culture and that they are deserving of their own genocide.
Say shit anymore. Oh, here it is, clip mirror. Cool. All right, let's watch this one right now. Okay. Oof. All right.
Bro.
Oh.
Asmongold is such a crusty motherfucker. Oh my god. You guys remember that song? You guys remember that video we put together? Let me see if I can find it for you real quick. I'll keep playing.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. Who have
Okay.
Oh, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people. It's not even a question. It's crazy that people don't see it that way. They'd be doing the same thing. And how much did they kill? As many as they can. They're not able to kill as many people as Israel because they don't have as many bombs and as many weapons. But if they did, they'd be doing the same thing.
Here's beautiful Asmongold, the crusty cooker. That's what I call him, the crusty cooker.
I had this problem with my sink, and basically the sink wouldn't drain. The sink was like black of like water, and that was a fucking problem for months. And so I got a liquid plumber, and I fixed that. So now it's not a problem, but it was. And, but anyway, so let's go ahead.
So I curl up in the ball and cry in the comfort of my home. I'm dying inside, and all I see are demons. I try to hide all my deepest feelings. I'm dying inside, and all I see are demons.
He sees demons, y'all.
I try to hide all my deepest feelings. I think there's something wrong with me, cause all I see is death. Every time I go outside, I look like I've been doing meth. And I sleep for 19 hours on a Thursday afternoon. Every now and then I cough up blood and I don't know what to do. I don't know.
Oh my god.
I will not see a therapist.
Well, that's Asmongold for you.
That's it. Just takes enough. That's right. These people are
That's how I like to remember Asmongold, guys. That's the depressed, crusty cooker.
not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible. It kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways.
Ooh, he doubled down. Yeah, you know, Elon style. It's not enough to do one slap. You gotta double down and make sure everyone hears you say it a second time. Pretty wild having you know, covered this when it first happened and hearing it a second time. Just absolutely revolting.
Ooh, god damn. Bro, what the fuck? Holy shit. Dude, he went in. He's fucking, ooh, god damn. I don't know where the full clip is. I guess it's, so what the fuck is so who did he say? Did he say the Palestinians were inferior cultures or something? I mean, like, at the end of the day, I don't think anybody should sit there and fucking be like, oh, I guess a whole group of people deserve to be genocided. Like, at the end of the day, that doesn't make you any better. You know what I mean? It just doesn't really make you any better than the shitty party out there. But I assume he's probably referring, if I'm being very charitable, to like gay people who like ally with that. It's like, okay, there's got to be a longer clip than this, dude.
Sorry, what? Oh no! Are you doing the whole chickens for KFC thing?
Yes, he is.
As in, like, just
He's doing
inherently,
chickens for
that
KFC.
Palestinians are going to execute you for being gay. So why would you align with them? Is that where we're at? Great.
Like, I feel like there's at least like a fucking 30 seconds from the beginning that I'm missing here that I just have no idea about it.
No, but I'm sorry. Like, I understand why there are clips. This happens to me all the time, too. I mean, we both do this for a living. I've had clips of me taken where it's completely out of context. I'm doing a bit, for example, if I'm impersonating someone, or I'm doing a character, or I'm being sarcastic, and then they clip that and then upload that, and then all of a sudden someone's like, holy shit, Lance, you said something abominable. And then you're like, no, that's me making fun of a person who says that stuff. That's not actually my opinion. This is clipped out of context. This is not fair. That's really different than this clip, which has been acknowledged by Asmongold. You know, he admitted that he said what he said, and then he apologized for it, and then he was going to clean his room, and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, he said.
So it's not something.
Yeah, after he got called out for that anti-Palestinian hatred, he said he was going to clean his room.
Like, even if
I've turned a new leaf, I'm going to clean my room now, mommy.
Like, what would save that clip for you? That's another thing I'd want to know. I'd want to know, like, at the end of that whole thing, what would make it better? Like, where would you be like, oh, okay, sorry. He said psych at the end. So he did the thing, but then he was like, not. And so he doesn't actually mean that Palestinians come from an inferior culture and they deserve their genocide, and double down on the whole inferior culture part. The whole thing was a joke. So.
Yeah, he said, like, Palestinians are inferior and have an inferior culture, therefore he doesn't care if they get genocided. It's like, what the fuck, bro? You sound like a fucking monster.
There's good stuff. Lance, you just got a double raid. Let's see. No Justice. Thank you so much. Can everyone go to Twitch.tv/
Can someone raid me, please? I want to be raided. Raid my channel. I need views. I get my wife. My wife views my channel every once in a while.
Twitch.tv/ KFLogan1875. Give Kevin Logan a follow back and subscribe and all that other stuff as well. Hello, friends. It's a British raid. Oh, is it like y'all do like a British show and then come on down? Well, that's lovely. You know, we got British lefties here, everyone. The good kind of British people.
That is insane. Why would he say that? I don't understand. Why would he prompt him? What the fuck?
Because he's a fucking
Jesus
racist.
Christ.
He's a racist. He's a racist person. That's why.
I'm gonna like, I don't even want to dive deeper into this shit, because I honestly have no idea about this situation. I've read about it. I'm not an idiot. I know about like the whole Israel-Palestine stuff. I'm gonna say it. I'm not gonna jump into it because I'm not an expert. The only thing that I can really say about it is, like, at the end of the day, I really hope that both countries fucking end up finding a peaceful solution one day, and innocent men, women, and children do not die. Okay.
Enlighten centrism. Ah, people shouldn't die. No war on either side. It's like, bro, how about the land that Israel has taken throughout the years of all these wars that they have started?
I really hope that.
See, like, again, you can't do that for the situation that's taking place. You could certainly say that you don't want to discuss this topic, and that's just where you're going to leave it. But if you start being like, I'm going to both sides this one. I'm going to be honest with you. I hope that both sides in this current conflict are capable of resolving their differences, and that I got another brave stance. Here we go. All right, and that no innocent people suffer further. That there's no more innocent people who have to suffer, and we'll leave it there. And that's it. When you're discussing a genocide, like if you recontextualize that and then you put it into the context of any other genocide that's taken place in human history, you realize how grotesque the very idea of that is, right? If it is the Palestinians who are being forcibly starved, if they are being collectively punished, if they are being, at this moment, bombed, attempted to be bombed off the face of the earth, while also being driven from location to location and then bombed again, all that kind of stuff, all the horrifying war crimes, atrocities that are being committed on a daily basis, and then sit there and being like, I really hope both sides of whatever's taking place can sort themselves out and obviously achieve peace and no one suffers. I mean, congratulations. I think that can apply to everything.
Right.
That's quite frankly one of the safest positions you could try to take when someone's like, how do you feel about a conflict between two parties? I hope that both parties resolve their differences.
Like, no shit, Sherlock,
Very
you know?
fair. Very, very astute. Very centrist of you. Enlightened even. To be able to, take a moment in time like that and then reflect and then be like, I'm hoping that, again, they can come to a agreement, that one in which less people
It's like, no fucking shit, dude. Everyone wants that. That's what I mean. That's a centrist position. Like, no, you gotta go further than that. You gotta be like, no, Israel needs to stop the fucking war crimes. Israel's people need to be prosecuted, the ones who did war crimes. Israel needs to give back all the land that is taken from the UN border that's been drawn. They got to do all that. It's not just like, oh, stop the war. Oh, stop the war. No, dude, there's way more than that that has to happen.
Tougher than more people. Yep. Neat. Okay. Again, if you're responding to a clip where you're listening to a guy who said that I don't care if Palestinians are genocided, they come from an inferior culture, and I don't care what happens to them as a result of that. Again, they're an inferior culture. And responding to that being like, hey, not an idiot. I know what this is about, but also I'm not really extremely well versed on this, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But I mean, my take is probably the bravest one a human being can have on this particular subject right here.
There are governmental agencies, and I really hope that at some point there can be some there can be some peace. That's about it. That's all I can really say. I don't fucking have any understanding about the situation, and
maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you shouldn't talk about it, dog. Don't talk about Asmongold. Don't talk about Israel, Palestine. You fucking retard. Oof, that was a little. I'm sorry. A little anger slip there. Jesus.
I don't know. I really hope the best for every situation. I don't know. Yeah, look.
Hope the best.
I've been I've talked to Asmongold, all right, like fucking not a lot, but he's been on the podcast when we had it running, and he watches my stuff, and occasionally I will sometimes put his stuff on. Obviously not super recently. I don't know why he even had to jump in to say it. I remember, didn't he say something like, why would somebody even jump in and fucking talk about this stuff if they didn't have any expertise? Wild shit. Oh, I'm seeing that he had a 3-hour debate with Hassan. Oh, man. Dude, I don't know if my brain could fucking handle this. Oh, God. Fucking.
So wait, so to be clear, you didn't condemn anything that he said there, which I think would be pretty critical, because what he is saying is just openly that he doesn't care. Palestinians are genocided and that they come from an inferior culture.
Yeah,
Extreme
Mudahar
racism
doesn't
also
say
trying to
nothing.
justify
He doesn't give a
genocide.
shit.
That is ongoing. So that part.
And now he's suing
and
people.
And then the next part is like, well, if I was to be my most charitable, don't know why, but if you were to be your most charitable, that he was talking about extremists and in relation to maybe if you support them and you're gay, that's also a horrifying thing to say. Again, it shouldn't be you shouldn't try and just leverage one minority group against another. It's like, well, yeah, you can't be gay and support Palestinians because Palestinians would execute you, bro, because they're inferior. Oh wait, sorry, that's the bad thing that Asmongold said. You can't be gay and support them because it's like being a chicken and supporting KFC, right? Because they'd kill you. Because, yeah, ...
And Hassan, bro. I don't know if my brain could handle that shit. God damn. That guy straight up lets fucking actual terrorists on his stream. Fuck me.
Dude, all these people
damn.
say the most random shit with no evidence. They're able to say all this stuff about Hassan. Does Hassan sue them? No. He should sue them. Hassan has all the reason to sue these dumb motherfuckers that are suing Noah Samson.
I guess I might listen to this one clip. Oh no, that's not real, bro. That's not, dude. This title can't be real. Oh my god.
We're not like, oh, you're trans, we're gonna kill you. They were like, oh, thank you for your fucking humanitarian aid. They don't give a shit. Like, it's the same as any other kind of person. I talked to a teenager from Yemen, okay, who everyone called, myself included, called Timothy Charlemagne or Chalamet.
Is that the One Piece one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now this kid,
yeah, you know, the actual terrorist. Like let's the actual terrorist, by the way.
Bro, so with what evidence? You need evidence to back that up. You can't just say shit like that.
This is actually a wonderful juxtaposition between the two events, right? So clip number 1, we've got Asmongold. In that clip, he says that he doesn't care if Palestinians get genocided because they come from an inferior culture. He says that twice. And that is responded to with, whoa. At my most generous, he's probably talking about the extremists amongst them. It doesn't matter who you're talking about. It's the people being genocided. Even if you think that they are inferior, or even if you think that there are people amongst them who are just looking to target and kill gay people, whatever you want to say, you're talking about a group that is currently being genocided. So that's where I believe Noah Samson is coming from when he's like, hey, clip number 2, take a look at this. We got Hassan saying that he had spoken to someone who the internet was memeing as Timothy Chalamet, and then immediately it's just like, yeah, he's an actual terrorist. There's the terrorist for you. The person that Hassan was talking to. That's the bad guy.
Bro, what fucking evidence? No evidence, dude. No due process. No evidence. These guys are acting like Trump. They're just saying shit with no evidence.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I talked to the terrorist on stream.
this kid is like, I think he was like 19 at the time when I talked to him.
Okay.
Which means
he's not a kid then, he's a fucking adult. So let's start
Dude,
trying to like let's
he's a young
talk
adult.
To this kid. He's an adult.
Someone who's 19 is very fucking young. They're basically still like, that's still youth. You stupid dick.
It's more than a barely legal adult at that point. It's an adult. All right.
Means that for most of his life he has withstood genocide, right?
Sure.
Like he is a person whose only experience is like, it's literally like talking to fucking Anne Frank, basically.
Wait, did you agree with that? You're like, yep, sure. But don't talk to him. He's a terrible terrorist. Has it even been confirmed that he is literally like a Houthi fighter?
No.
Like, I understand that is usually the accusation that is directly levied when it's talking about like, well, Hassan was trying to platform someone who normally you don't actually hear from their perspective. So whether or not you agree
No
or
evidence.
disagree with the Houthis or agree or disagree with their cause.
No evidence at all. No, he's just saying shit. Just saying shit. It's like he's like taking a shotgun and just like just shooting random rounds at people. No evidence.
This is an opportunity just to learn, so we can take it from there, right? And then that'll be where we position ourselves. And then immediately it's like, oh well, he went too far. He was memeing with him. They were memeing. They were One Piece. It was confirmed that he was not. Can you send me a link? Is there a link that actually verifies that or anything? Because I think that also would, and maybe this is something that if you're Noah and you're trying to explore this topic, would have been good to bring forth as a piece of evidence, because like he was memeing, but like send me an article, all right? Link me an article related to that. But again, it's one of those things where exactly do you find the balance? It's so quick, so immediately fast to be like, yeah, that guy's an actual terrorist. Hassan platformed a terrorist. He's bad. That one's bad. And then in the other case, it's like Asmongold, to his 40,000, 50,000 live viewers, is actively saying that Palestinians, he doesn't care if they're genocided because they come from an inferior culture, like being extremely racist and dehumanizing a group that is currently undergoing a genocide. but that doesn't get condemnation either. That just gets like, my most generous. He was probably talking about, you know, the extremist who goes after the gays. That's who he was targeting. So in this case, he's actually not as bad as everyone thinks.
Bro, you can't make that shit up. Bro, you can't, bro. Bro, we're not comparing.
Dude, he is comparing because Yemen is going through a genocide done by the Saudi Arabian government, and we funded and given them all the weapons. We sold our weapons to Saudis, and they're doing genocide in Yemen. So how, if he's talking to a teenager that survived the genocide, how is that not like talking to Anne Frank, who was a young lady in Nazi Germany who survived the genocide? Mutahar, you are the dumbest motherfucker in the whole universe. I hope you lose your lawsuit and lose all the fucking money you ever. Oh my god, I hope you go bankrupt, you bitch.
The fucking terrorist. Okay, I'm out of here, dude. I'm out of here. I'm not even gonna talk about this. This is the level of politics on the internet. You know what? Let's just talk about something I'm more of an expert on. Okay, fuck that.
I mean, good luck. It's going to be interesting whether or not this actually sees the light of day in terms of the ongoing
on Twitter
lawsuit.
writing, in your only video on Gaza, you admit to not knowing about politics. You try to cover Israel-Palestine as drama slop for a centrist audience. You defend Asmongold for his inferior cultures and genocide comment, then attack pro-Palestinian voices. Mutahar wrote back, yes, I do admit to not being an expert on the topic. I didn't cover it as a drama since it isn't one. Serious situations with dead people and attacks happening every day. I just don't downplay rapes and sugarcoat violent organizations like you. Also didn't defend Asman in vid. Later, Hassan wrote, we were a year into the genocide here. This was your only video on the topic.
I'd immediately contend that that's not true. I think that you are, even if you're not outright saying like, I stand by all the words that Asmongold has said in this video. I think that they reflect and represent my beliefs as well. Like, no, but it's very clear. I mean, if you were to watch that video, what exactly you were doing. Asmongold says something that is just like unbelievably racist and deplorable, and then you start to be like, oh well, I mean, if I was to take this in good faith, I could definitely say that probably who he's talking about is not like all Palestinian people or, you know, an entire group that is undergoing a genocide. He's talking about extremists, and, you know, maybe he's going after people who would you know, support that if you're gay. And it's like, well, you're doing the same thing right now. You're dehumanizing people undergoing a genocide specifically because they might not be as centrist or liberal or open-minded as you happen to be in regards to, say, LGBTQ plus rights. And it's like, what a disgusting way to react to that. And then immediately afterwards, if you have Hassan speaking and Asmongold trying to criticize him, being like, well, I mean, that guy platformed a terrorist. It's like, oh, no question. I mean, yeah, I mean, come on. The actual terrorist. It's clear as day there.
It downplayed and ran defense for Asmongold's takes, while the bulk of your commentary revolved around how evil the pro-Palestinian streamers were from clips you compiled off of Snark Reddits. Mutahar's final response was, it's almost as if the bulk of the commentary matched what the video was titled and centered about, Twitch allowing violent and unfiltered rhetoric from your camp on its platform. The clips were actually sourced from the creators who streamed them. So what do we make of this exchange? Well, first, Mutahar denied covering the genocide as drama, but that's exactly what he did. He has never once uploaded a video covering this topic, except for when that coverage was filtered through a smear campaign that was making the rounds in the commentary community about a content creator they all don't like. You know, Hassan Bad. He denies defending Asmongold in his video, once again making no effort to actually defend himself on that point, but that's also false. Mutahar whitewashed Asmongold's comments further than anyone else, really. He went so far as to change the content of what Asmongold actually said to make it seem like he wasn't talking about Palestinians when he was.
In this situation, one could, you know, if they were to extend the charitability, could say that Asmongold was probably referring to extremists in the Islamic religion.
Even Asmongold himself admitted that that's...
Oh, it's even from...
Really, motherfucker?
Different videos. So there's an actual second one. I don't know if no one knows about that because I was watching the clips version. So that one was a little bit more streamy, au natural. It wasn't the scripted version. So I mean, I don't have time today because I got to switch to Jenk's video, but maybe I'll watch that one tomorrow and I can go over the scripted version where everything was
yeah, we'll watch that
what
in a
he
minute.
Said when he apologized, this is why he was banned. Now, whether Mutahar stands by this characterization
Rashid al-Haddad has said that he's not a Houthi. In the absence of proof that he is a Houthi, there's no real need for even the possibility of proving he isn't. They'd need to prove that based on anything other than feelings. True, I mean, the burden would be upon them. I've heard a lot of discussions that it is a Houthi terrorist who was directly involved in the temporary kidnapping of a whole bunch of people in a cargo ship. But if that's the case, that there isn't any direct evidence of that, if that's the case that he's said that he's not a Houthi fighter or rebel, then yeah, I mean, the burden of proof would be upon the people who are claiming that he is and a terrorist to demonstrate that, right?
Of Asmongold's genocidal rhetoric or not is a different question. But he did do that, and the record shows this. His video is still uploaded on his channel. You can go watch it. Denying this seems to be just indicative of a lack of reflection on his part. Entirely predictable, but worth noting nonetheless. The no I didn't defense is the expected response from
even if he was a terrorist, why does that matter? Well, I think in this case, this is a situation where I don't even think that it reaches that level. Like I have personally been like, when it comes to a conflict, especially when it involves Yemen and it involves both the United States supporting Saudi Arabia and what they've been doing to the people of Yemen for a very long time, including, you know, like we were all helping out Jordan with that charity drive he was doing for the mass starvation that's taking place in Yemen a couple years ago, and discussing it back then, and how like this is one of the largest starvations that is taking place in the entire world involving children. And that was a couple of years ago. And that was when, you know, we were talking about this, and it's one of those things where in the other direction, in terms of where do you hear the narrative about, you know, the people of Yemen, in terms like what does the mainstream media talk about? How do they position themselves in this? You usually just hear, you know, reflections of the U.S. State Department in that it is a country currently involved in a civil war. That civil war is between numerous rebel factions. One of them is obviously supported by Saudi Arabia. One of them is a terrorist organization. That terrorist organization, the Houthis, is directly targeting, you know, the shipping routes now of any, you know, shipping route countries that happen to be involved with materially supporting Israel and its genocide of Palestinians. And so they've
because Israel's doing a genocide, and a genocide is a crime of all crimes. So the Houthis are like, yo, you ain't gonna pass your ships through here unless you stop that genocide. And now America is destroying the Houthis because we want to support the genocide in America.
Claim publicly that they're no longer going to be doing that. Like that's what you hear all day. Like I don't need to know the what centrist and liberal streamers have to say in terms of like where do they position or stand on that one, because it's going to be reflected within the vast majority of mainstream media. I never hear from anyone on the other side of that conflict outside of Democracy Now! Maybe would be the only place where you'd see potential interviews or even clips of people who happen to be on the other side of that conflict. And in that case, you know, this is the amount of distance I'm going to try and explain why I don't think Hassan Piker deserves to be, you know, labeled as a terrorist journalist supporter / whatever, simply because he was interviewing, you know, Tim Houthi Chalamet in that case. If it turns out that Tim Houthi Chalamet was not even a Houthi, like you don't even need all of that to try and contextualize this, to try and like prepare people. We're like, okay, well, I understand why you might, as a knee-jerk reaction, be really afraid of this situation and be really nervous because I'm about to tell you that the person he was speaking to, yes, was in fact a member of the Houthis. However, this is blah, 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 and then you got to do this whole thing where you spell it all out and you try to explain why there could be a lot of value to actually hearing from another side, even if you disagree with them, even if you think they're a terrorist organization, even if you think they're evil. That doesn't matter. At the very least, wouldn't you want to know their perspective on this in terms of the conflict, the reasoning for doing it, blah, 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 stuff like that. That's what he was going for. But if it just turns out that this happens to be, you know, a young 19-year-old from Yemen who has been growing up in this situation and wanted to talk about it with anyone in the West, well, I mean, Jesus Christ, every single one of you has been labeling both him and, by extension, Hassan a terrorist, like nonstop as a result of this. Like that's... I hope if that turns out to be the case, then a lot of people are going to be issuing some form of an apology. That's a fucked up thing to do. To be like, no, Hassan is literally a terrorist. He's a terrorist?
That's
he's
fucked up.
Well, okay, fine.
You have no evidence, you fucking assholes.
It's a little extreme. He's a terrorist supporter, and he platforms terrorists, so what do you have to say about that? I think it's a matter of perspective in a lot of ways. I mean, if you wanted, like, why don't you apply nuance to this? Okay, well, I don't know how many people have had U.S. military personnel in interviews. So many people have members of the IDF and interview them freely. How many times have members of the IDF simply gone onto CNN to talk about the war crimes that they're engaged in, and then actively have to be like, no, this is a strategic military precision strike that we're going to be engaged in here, sir. And I don't often hear the other side of those conflicts, you know, and so that's one of those things where it's like, I would be interested to know where exactly does someone who is in that organization stand, and what is the reasoning, and how do they view their particular role in this conflict. Yeah, I think that there would be a journalistic value to doing that, but it's like, but there's not even that. There was just literally someone from Yemen who was being interviewed. Again, a country that has been suffering immensely because of both the U.S. empire and Saudi Arabia. Well, then, Jesus Christ. I mean, it seems so unfair sometimes, you know, especially for someone to have to sit there and be like, yeah, totally. I'm in good faith. I'm going to spend the time to make sure that I'm positioning myself in such a way that I understand the complex nuances of this conflict and the actors involved, and understand, you know, that there is certainly going to be some difficulty for some people who I'm speaking about in terms of relation to them talking about a person who could be involved in a terrorist organization, not previously designated last year, but the year after that was redesignated as a terrorist organization. And it's like, but it's just like, it's someone from Yemen who's just talking about what the conflict is like from their POV, who never gets heard from. That's it. Like, Jesus Christ.
Centrists and liberal Zionists alike, but I don't know how well it'll hold up in court. I didn't back genocide. How could you say that? I just sat silently the entire time it happened, except for the one time I spoke up, which was actually to attack pro-Palestine activists with bad faith smears that originate from a community of openly genocidal Zionists.
I'm pro-genocide. They're terrible people.
Best of luck to you in your legal endeavors should you pursue them. I don't know how well that'll hold up, but have fun, I guess. In his last tweet...
That is, I guess, what is taking place. We'll see. I still don't know. I'm interested to see where it goes. It's obviously going to be complicated. In the interview with Hassan, it came to Houthis. He identified himself as a Yemeni, and then he told that he has solidarity with Palestinians. They claim that he's a terrorist because he posted videos from a cargo ship, but there are also rumors that the ship has become a tourist site in Yemen now, and his videos tend to support that. Interesting. See, that's all really good to know. I just, like, I as someone who has been falsely smeared by Destiny personally as being a terrorist supporter of Hamas, when I was not directly financially supporting Hamas. I was doing a fundraiser for a Palestinian charity to ideally help feed starving children. I know what that's like on the internet, to deal with a lot of much larger communities immediately coming out of nowhere and then suddenly saying, oh, you're a fucking terrorist supporter. Oh, I didn't know that. Holy shit. Surf supports terrorism, y'all. Surf is directly funding Hamas. So fast. Just like, you know, and then once you fucking call him out and even provide evidence, I had to go as far as getting an email from the charity itself to show that they are not directly associated with the British one that he mistakenly said that I was donating to. And even the British one, I mean, that would be, you know, its own debate to have in and of itself, but then be like, yes, and then here's the financials and the statements, and here's them demonstrating that not a single cent is going to be given to the organization known as Hamas. You know, there's no retraction, there's no apology, there's no nothing. It's basically just like, oh, I'm glad I could hold you accountable. You didn't hold me accountable, motherfucker. You goddamn slandered me, and just let your community and audience of like rabid, angry, we hate the left and anything related to it go after me and just fucking and run with the rumors and go nuts. And then in this situation, it's like, yeah, well, Hassan spoke to again a 19-year-old from Yemen who didn't identify as a Houthi fighter, but said that he grew up in Yemen and blah blah blah. And now it's like, well, yeah, you platformed a terrorist. It's over. You are now a terrorist yourself. Icy Sanchez, thank you for the $5. Mudhar lives on Reddit. Not sure why he stepped into the political lane. He knows nothing. Well, he did a thing where I know he said he was going to step away from politics and Twitter in general and just concentrate on. He made a whole video, but I was just going to concentrate on things that he enjoys, like conspiracy theories and video games. But like, look, here's the thing: as the world is getting more profoundly fucked up, more and more people, I think, are coming to the realization you cannot just have yourself a apolitical stream or show and claim it's apolitical when you concentrate on things maybe related to internet drama, maybe related to video games and the themes within them, because I'm sorry, any art form is going to have politics in it.
Yeah.
Unless it's literally a game about just like shapes, Let's play shapes. It's fun. You put the triangle in the triangle, the circle in the circle, the square in the square. You tic-tac-toe. Again, apolitical games here.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing coverage of it. But then
everything has politics in it. Like when people say, I don't like politics in my games, that's such bullshit, dude. Like, shut the fuck up.
Someone's like, hey, they're re-releasing the whole Metal Gear Solid series. Fuck. What was that about again? Shit. Yeah, and apparently they're remastering the BioShock trilogy too. Not sure if you want to talk about that, but there's some themes in the games, you know. Tetris is communist, actually. I'm pro triangle. Look at all of you. Pro triangle. All that kind of stuff. All right, we're going to talk about Jank. I know everyone here is here for Jank.
Here's a Jank drama.
This is Jank Watch. Just let me grab a soda, and then I'll start my Jank coverage right before leading you into the leftist mafia, where we can have more conversations about things that happen around the world without politics. There'll be an apolitical stream today.
The constitutional crisis that we're all currently living through is escalating, according to some legal experts, because of the claims that Trump's Department of Justice is making in courts to defend their defiance of judges. So to get you up to speed, Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 a couple of weeks ago to deport hundreds of Venezuelan immigrants to a prison in El Salvador. Now, this archaic law, in theory, is only supposed to be used during times of war.
All right, we will skip over to the this one right here. We'll move this one over here.
I think this is a really important moment in politics with this utter collapse at TYT. We've been seeing these outbursts with, you know, increasing frequency lately, but there's really something to mine here for all of us about how we stand up to Trump and this right-wing fascism. There's something for us to learn, man, about how to resist, how to make sure we don't end up where Cenk is. So let's get into it. Again, thank you guys. If you like the video.
For real, man. I like this guy, Political Punk.
Appreciate a like.
Subscribe
drop that
to
sub,
Political
share it.
Punk.
I mean, we got a lot of work to do, and we're doing it together. Let's go.
But it's okay. We could have different interpretations of it. That's not an issue at all. We certainly are against police abuse, and we've fought against it. I would argue at least as much as any show on the planet, and perhaps a lot more. And I take great pride that Benjamin Crump, among others, said that Trayvon Martin would not have gotten anywhere near the national coverage that he did if it wasn't for the Young Turks.
Dude, what year was
Trayvon Martin. Watch this guy. This guy looks up the date.
Trayvon Martin? That was 2012. Okay? So, dude, he is talking about what good he did.
13 years ago.
Right? Trayvon Martin got all this coverage because of the Young Turks. That was in 2012. It's been 13 years. 13 years ago, they were like...
He's acting like they're the progressive channel still. He's pulling shit from 13 years ago that they did. 13 years.
Really leftist. But 13 years later, with the rise of Trumpism, they're like, can we renegotiate our leftism contract, please?
Yup. Get him, boy. Get him.
We want some of that right-wing money. Oh, yeah, Janky. Oh, please give us some right-wing money. Oh, come back, Poly Market. We love you. Dude.
And of course, we've had some disagreements on the issue of transgender rights. Let me just say quickly what my position is, because a lot of people outside of the network have been misleading you about this. So I'm for 100% constitutional rights for transgender Americans, because why? They're Americans, just like the rest of us, and they should have the same exact rights as us. They should be protected in bathrooms. They should definitely be allowed to serve in the military. And I happen to think that they should be allowed.
They just shouldn't be able to fight a man if they choose to. If the man agrees to fight her and the trans woman agrees to fight the man, Chang doesn't think that trans people should be in sports. So
to play transgender girls should be allowed to play in girls sports in high school.
So one thing I do want to point out about Cenk and his transgender rights is this. Regardless of how Cenk feels about trans rights, if you look at his actions, okay, over the last year, his actions have been to be combative and aggressive with trans defenders in his own political caucus.
Literally.
So
Literally, this is what people gotta understand. Don't look at what people say. Don't look at what Trump says. Don't look at what Cenk Uygur says. Look at their actions. Look at who they voted for in the past. Look at who they supported. Look up who they're getting money from. This is what people gotta remember. Look at their actions, not what they say.
he says he has these beliefs about transgender rights in America. He goes on the right-wing shows and he doesn't challenge them at all. Then he goes on the left-wing shows and fights with left-wingers that support trans people. Now, if you really support trans people, even if you think some of the far-left people in your own party, your own progressive caucus, are way out there, there's no reason for you to fight with your own people. If anything, you should be having discussions, trying to hear them out and see why they stand where they stand, and building a coalition with them. You know, you should be fighting with the right.
Wrangling your own crypto taxes? That's the old way. Meet CoinTracker, your trusted partner to check all the boxes.
Hi, I'm Derek Helwig, and I'm thrilled to introduce myself as the new general manager here at Turner Chevrolet. At Turner,
discussing with the left. And if the left give you shit about human rights, you should be taking their shit and trying to look at it. Okay? If I'm talking to my kid and I say something and he says, "Dad, that felt a little sexist," I don't fight with my kid and tell him to get the fuck out of the room. I ask him to explain to me why it was sexist in his purview.
Exactly. See, this guy's a good dad and a good fucking leftist.
Look at things differently now than they did when I was his age. And then I allow myself to see their point of view and to relate to it. Because if people I care about are telling me I'm doing something sexist, I believe that they're right. And so I want to look at that behavior. But he has people in his own party, people on his own network, people whose talent he found and hired, people that he respected that are saying, "Hey man, you're off the mark." And he's like, "Fuck you, I'm firing you. I'm not off the mark. And I'm going to go hang out with Patrick Bet-David, fucking douchebag,
Right winger.
bottom of the fucking barrel, Christian nationalist piece of shit. He's going to go hang out with that homophobic motherfucker, be like, "Ha ha ha ha."
Dude, I was just having a conversation with my wife about this. Like, TYT's going downhill. They're going downhill. They're done. They're done. They're right-wing trash now. John has to leave. Everyone has to leave who works there, dude. Get the fuck out. Find a different job. Go work at Zateo. Zateo will hire you. You're good.
Fucking bottom of the fucking barrel, Christian nationalist piece of shit. He's gonna go hang out with that homophobic motherfucker, be like, "Ha ha ha ha, oh, let me polish your knob there, BBD, oh, polish my knob." And it's very telling. You gotta watch people's actions. And again, though, the way Cenk is treating this is just making him look like an asshole. You look like an asshole, Cenk. You do. You look like a fucking right-wing fucking geek.
Say that trans girls should be allowed to play in girls' sports in high school. 67% of Democrats say no, not allowed in any women's sports. So I'll work on my
Damn, bro, I love this guy's Darth Vader in the back. That's so cool.
Democratic brothers and sisters, and we'll try to get,
got a
I'll
nice
try to
ass
get them
background.
to my position on that. Nothing wrong with disagreements. And if Emma, Francesca, and others can convince 79% of the nation that is opposed to that to come over to that side, fantastic. Happy.
See, here's the thing, though. The way he said, if you can convince the 79%, but there was a time in America, guys, where 79% of America thought slavery was okay, but it was inhumane. So we fixed it. There was a time in America where 79% of the people thought women shouldn't be able to vote or have a job, but we fixed it. There was a time in America where 79% of America thought segregation was okay and a good way to live and good for society. It was inhumane, and we fixed it. So just because 79% of the people believe in something does not mean that that fight shouldn't be taken if it's inhumane. You know, saying because 79% of the people agree with it, we just don't take this fight. If we did that, there'd still be slaves out working the goddamn fields. You fucking dumbass.
Right?
You're not
Exactly.
a progressive. You're
He's
fucking
not.
gutless, bro.
I do
He's a populist, a right-wing populist.
think it's sad that even though they allow people like us into the fold and the fray, they refuse to learn from us or listen to us. And I think that when you have been doing this work for so long and you still cannot grasp the idea of intersectionality, how race and gender and class all intertwine with one another, and how the right, the fascist goal is to divide us based on these lines. Like, I don't even know. I don't know, like, who you are. Like, I'm not even, I don't even know if you're smart. You know what I mean? I don't even know. First of all, I don't know who your political mentors are. I don't know who you look up to. I don't know what your touchstones are. I don't know if you know your history in terms of, like, civil rights, women's rights, gay rights struggle in this country. I don't know anything. I call into question all of that. It sounds like you are just an opportunistic mouthpiece who wants clicks time and time again.
Dude, again.
Yup. Get
We
him.
found Sprizzy through a Google search, pretty much. I was looking for a way to market our YouTube.
There was nothing bad in there. Like, I am struggling to find out what... Dude, she did go in on him, but she went in on him in a respectable analysis sort of way of, like, questioning his integrity, questioning how he's arrived at these viewpoints, because he used to be, like, far, far, far left. And now he's no longer far, far, far left. But for him to get rattled by that, like, my God, I have had my kid give me criticism that is that harsh. You know what I'm saying? Of, like, Dad, you need to fucking snap out of it. What the fuck are you doing here? You know, but the point is you grow from it.
Okay, so obviously it's getting deeply personal there. Opportunistic mouthpiece.
Dude, opportunistic mouthpiece. I mean, Polymarket Studios?
Yeah, bro. Literally.
Don't you think, Cenk, that she has a point? You had loyal followers of TYT who built your studio, and then during an election year, you took a sponsorship for a company founded by the guys financing the opponents, and you enshrined their name. You gave the studio your viewers paid for to the other side for money. That's opportunistic mouthpiece, bro. Like, if you can't acknowledge that, that's a real problem with you, bro. I don't think you should be delivering political commentary. I don't think people should be entrusting you if you can't acknowledge your own opportunistic mouthpiece-ness in making that kind of transaction. If you can't come to terms with it, that's like Donald Trump saying he did great during COVID. No, he did not. We know he did not. We know you're an opportunistic mouthpiece. We saw it. You did it during the fucking election.
Exactly, bro. Yo, TYT is done, guys. Like, don't watch TYT anymore, please. Like, let them die. Let them fucking crumble and die beneath the weight of their own failure. Just don't watch that trash.
And you can't acknowledge it, bro. So people are supposed to trust you to deliver them, like, news in their best interest when you can do something so obvious and you cannot acknowledge it? Like, dude, that's like a breach of trust with every TYT viewer right there.
Can't grasp simple concepts, not smart. But guys, and I'm not angry. Look, people have different opinions and they want to get...
It's like, I'm not angry. I just fired her because I'm not angry. Dude. Oh, shit.
But to me, the attitude that is toxic, and that's what I don't want at TYT. I want to build a community that is really open to conversations.
He wants to build a community that's open to conversations, but he himself doesn't want to be open to the conversations. See,
Right.
That's interesting. I don't think you're going to be able to build a community that's open because you can't lead with openness. You can't lead with openness. All right. And you, like, if you were leading with openness, you would go back on Franny's show and say, hey, you said I'm not smart. You said, you know, that I'm opportunistic. And you know what? I think in the poly market thing, I actually was pretty opportunistic because the company's been struggling and I don't know what to do. But I am smart. I think I am smart. I think that was like a little uncalled for and it hurt my feelings. And he could have gone on her show and told her to her face that. And then he could have gone on and said, well, let me answer some of these questions about my political idols and how I arrived at this shit. And let me tell you why my views are evolving on crime. And you know, he
could have done that, but he decided to just yell and bitch and moan and fire Francesca after saying, oh, we're TYT, the homo progressive, where we have different ideas, different hosts, different ideas, and we all come along. But nope, he fired her because her ideas were too different, and she was too mean.
If he was open, he would do all that, but this motherfucker won't even go talk to Sam Cedar and Emma Vigeland. He won't even go on their show. He won't go on their show. They threatened the Vanguard and those of us who make content about them that they're going to nuke our fucking channels. They're going to nuke the fuck out of us if we use their content. Like, dude, that's not openness, boss. That's like fear. Like, you're afraid that we're going to put you out of business. And in fact, we are, right? We're going to put you out of business, a collective of people. You're done. Your TYT days, you're done. You can keep, you know, getting money from the right wing and doing that shit, but your days are already numbered.
You're done, dog.
You are cooked. So like, it's already a done deal.
You're done, homie.
Now it's just a matter of picking apart your carcass, your you know, media carcass. But like, you were not open. You were not open. So you're saying you want open, but you're not behaving in a way that is open. And if you really want to build an open community like that, you have to lead it. You have to lead it. You would be going to Sam Cedar. You would be going.
For real, bro. Shut up, you ad. God damn it.
And showing people what that openness that you want reflected in your employees, you would show them what it looks like. Okay, now I know you think you're showing it when you go over there and trash the Democratic Party to get, you know, in the good graces of Charlie Kirk. But the problem is you shouldn't be seeking openness with disingenuous lying, propaganda spreading, degenerate motherfuckers. You should be seeking openness with your own people, because Charlie Kirk, he's a liar. Those guys post content that is straight lies. All of the right wing does. Literally. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Straight lies. Every day. Libs of TikTok. End wokeness. Charlie Kirk. Riley Gaines. They just lies upon lies upon lies. Donald Trump. All of it is lies. And so the people that lie and cheat and sneak and spread propaganda and have no scruples, you go and seek openness with them, but you don't do it with your own people. And that's the opportunistic mouthpiece, because those people over there that lie and cheat in the propaganda, you're seeking openness with them because you want opportunity. You want some of that money. You want to cash in. She called you out like perfectly, and you're too little of a man to be able to acknowledge it and actually fucking, you know, like prosper from it. And for that reason, we're going to sink your fucking network.
They refuse to learn from us. So the idea is, well, obviously I'm right and the only moral center of the universe, and I already told him that, and this guy wouldn't even learn from me.
Yeah, again, that's a disingenuous framing. It's like a child relationship, Jank. Okay, you have more power because you run the network. And then Franny and all of them, Emma, they all learned a bunch of shit from you. But you're supposed to be learning from them. It's like my kid. My kid is 20 years old, okay? I taught him some stuff growing up, but he taught me stuff. When he was like 7, he taught me how to like not grit my teeth when I'm angry. He's taught me how to like not lay into him when he's beating himself up for a failure. And I'm really disappointed in him, and me like treating him in a certain way multiplied his
Get him, Dad. Get him, Dad.
experience of negativity, and in fact drove us further apart at a time when he really needed me. He taught me that when he was like 15, right? He was a teenager who taught me how to be a better parent. That's the type of learning from them. It's
Damn.
not an absolute.
This dude's gonna make me tear up, bro. God damn, what a nice ass dad.
He's right. You're wrong. That's coming from you, Cenk.
It's just such a deeply arrogant thought that if someone disagrees with you, they need to be re-educated, and maybe they haven't read any books at all. Okay, did she stop there? Of course not.
And yes, as I told Cenk, I do feel very implicated. I have felt implicated by their takes, specifically around crime and policing in years past, definitely by this new heel turn since Trump's reelection, and absolutely by the misrepresentation of the Los Angeles fires and who the responsibility lies on. It is
when they blamed it
I
on
forgot
the
they did that shit.
homeless,
I forgot they did
fucking
that.
cooking stoves or whatever. Oh my God, dude. And the black woman. That's what it came down to.
it is enraging, to say the least.
The Los Angeles fires are not the responsibility of the mayor. They're apparently the responsibility of Republicans, or I don't know. I don't know what her thought on that is. And
Dude, it just went right over his head about the Anna blaming it on the homeless and him like smiling and nodding. Fucking dude, cooking their drugs. That's what it was. A guy with a fucking spoon and a lighter started the
Cooking
Pacific.
their drugs,
all those
yeah.
guys cooking drugs in the Pacific Palisades.
Yep, that's
Like,
literally what he said.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, that's what it was. It wasn't even cooking food. It was cooking drugs.
Drugs. Yep, I remember that.
It
I
was
remember
even worse than I remembered. Oh,
I don't know why
shit.
she's enraged by that, but that's okay. Apparently, I've taken a heel turn. By the way, all those folks, not just Francesca, but others that told you we're right wing, you watch the show every single day, you see us criticizing Trump and Elon Musk over and over and over and over again, telling you how they're going to do a $4.5 trillion robbery in those tax cuts. Yesterday, we talked about how they're already, hammering Social Security and costing good Americans, what they need from Social Security, how they're going to cut $800 billion from Medicaid, how there's a series of robberies on the way, et cetera. But it's okay. Let's just simplify things and say anyone who disagrees with us a little bit is a right winger. But the good news is
You're a
at
centrist
least
loser.
Francesca will
You're a
not be
centrist
implicated
loser.
anymore. And I never understood that.
You're a centrist loser collaborator that works with fucking fascists. You dumb bitch. Fuck you, Jank. I hope they fucking deport your ass first.
She's been saying this for a long time now, that she was implicated by us. Then why keep taking the check? And it's not a big check, and Francesca has had, a career before us. She talks
Because she thought she could change you guys' mind. She thought you guys would return from the right-wing heel turn you've been having, you fucking assholes.
About that, of course she did. And she'll have a career.
Dude, wow, a nice little fucking victim blaming
dick.
from him. Like, dude, this guy is so toxic. And like, I don't think he even realizes how fucking toxic he looks during this thing. Like, he has no idea, dude. He thinks he is like landing
He thinks
zingers.
he's spitting. Yeah, he thinks he's spitting.
And he, again, yes, him and Anna now, they're out in the open with this shit. They're making the public spectacle. And then they're going to get mad at those of us who make content about this. But he's like so openly toxic. Like, why would she take the check? Why would she stay if she was misrepresented? I don't know. Maybe she thought she was going to get through to you.
Yeah.
Maybe she wanted to prevent you guys from going out of business, which you are most certainly going out of business. And probably because you should have let Emma and Franny be your main hosts. You and Anna should have stepped down. You guys are bitter. You're angry. You're not good at this anymore. You're not even pleasant to watch unless we're fucking shredding you. Because you're just bitter and angry, and you can't go 5 minutes talking about Trump without getting into some anti-MSNBC, anti-Biden. Eventually, you find your way to Obama fucking vitriol because you're defeated and beaten, and you've driven away all the talented people trying to be the kings and queens of this thing when you're just not that good. Like Franny's right, you're just not that good, man.
Literally.
Maybe you were 13 years ago when you were fighting for Trayvon Martin. But you're not fighting for Trayvon Martin anymore, Cenk Uygur.
No, you're not fighting for
the
shit.
billionaire land developer, right? You're fighting for Rick Caruso.
Rick Caruso. Yep.
Okay? That's what happened, bro. You're not fighting for Trayvon Martin anymore. You're fighting for fucking Rick Caruso. You're fighting for fucking Donald Trump. You know? And like, dude, it's fucking embarrassing at this point, man. It's embarrassing.
They're after us. There's no problem with that. So why, if you think we're collaborators and we've taken a heel turn and we're working with...
You are collaborators, you bitch. You're collaborators.
...with fascists, why did you choose to get implicated with us all these days? But good news...
Dude, you weren't that bad during 2020, 2021. Now you're getting really bad during 2023, 2024. You guys are literally right wing now.
No longer implicated.
Dude. Oh man, bro, this is like watching a fucking car crash, dude. I feel like I'm just watching a car crash. It's like he's driving, pedal to the metal, Anna's in the back seat, screaming at the homeless. She's got a box wine that she's fucking trying.
Literally.
Dude, and they're just like, oh shit, they're about to hit that wall with the fucking Gavin Newsom portrait on it. Oh my God, dude.
Believe it or not, she did not stop there.
Line up until this point has been, no, it's at the collegiate level and above. I think once you get to the college level and above, that's when it's bad. So he would be on board with what the NCAA said recently. But you're so dumb. You're so dumb. I don't even know how to explain this to you anymore. unless, this is the other option, unless you also are a transphobe. You know what I'm saying? Unless you also are kind of a misogynist.
I mean, dude.
Cook him.
He is a transphobe. He won't admit it, but he is. And he definitely is a misogynist.
Because if you disagree with Francesca or anyone on that part of the spectrum, well, you must be a misogynist.
Well, no, if you do bits about celebrity camel toes, and then you only get along with the men in your network, and all of the women, you have these combative relationships where when they talk to you and tell you something, a way you should grow and a way you should listen, you can't hear it from them because it's coming from women. That's misogyny, bro. When you can align yourself with MAGA, who are filled with misogyny, Charlie Kirk, all these people, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to try to, like, partner up with them. You're going on Patrick Bet-David. You're going on all these misogynist places. You're more comfortable in the dens of misogyny than you are in the dens of feminism. That's a sign. If you were uncomfortable around misogyny, you would be uncomfortable going into that MAGA realm, and you would be, like, dealing with them from a place of discomfort. But we've seen you. You're more comfortable.
This guy got it, bro. I hope this guy gets every TYT subscriber.
Sitting there across from Charlie Kirk or Dr. Phil than you are sitting across from Emma or Franny or Sam Cedar. That's telling, bro. It's like the writing. It's on the wall like Donald Trump's fucking Sharpie scrawl. You know what I mean? It's like, bro.
You must be collaborating with the fascists.
And you are collaborating with the fascists. Yeah, you are a fascist collaborator in Nazi Germany. If I was a rebellious person in Nazi Germany and I was rebelling against the Reich, you would be a target.
Obviously, you must be unintelligent. Now, if I had called her dumb, I wonder what her reaction would have been. My guess is nuclear. But I didn't call her that because we have a disagreement. We have a political disagreement.
Dude, he is so thin-skinned, bro. I mean, I saw somebody in chat said she's a comedian. She's being funny. She's being entertaining. She's talking to her audience and riffing as a performer on a podcast. She's not like, you know what I'm saying? For him to take all that shit personal, like he had somebody collecting that. Ooh, she called you dumb. Where's the one where she calls him a bitch? Is that coming up?
You don't need to make it personal. Not done yet. One last one.
Yeah, here it is.
What has it got you? What did it get you? When you go and share a stage with Dr. Phil, what did it get you?
Nothing.
Nothing.
He's a bitch. He's a loser.
You know why? Because you look like a bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, she didn't even call him a
She didn't even call him. She said you look like.
bitch. She said you look like a bitch. That's not even like, I thought she was like, you're a fucking bitch, Jank. I call him a bitch all the time. But she was like, you look like a bitch. And you do. When you go and you sit there and you wax the bottom of Charlie Kirk or Dr. Phil and you throw your own party under the bus. Like, dude, it does make you look like a bitch. You look like a bitch in this fucking rant you're having.
You look like a bitch. That's what it is. Like, that's just what it comes down to. You don't look like a fighter.
Okay.
Get
¿Listo para
him.
evitar hablar del salario?
Get him, girl.
Using the right weight matters. The body pod lets you easily understand what is the fastest way to.
You don't look smart. You look like a bitch. That's just the reality.
Bitch,
I've tried
bitch.
to tell
You look like a bitch.
it to you nicely. I've tried to tell it to you cordially. I've tried to tell it to you on your show, on my show, on every show. And so either you A, are a bitch, or B, you actually agree with the right. And I'm starting to think, in fact, I do think it's the latter.
Yeah, I mean, dude, there would never be a reality where I'm going to go on stage at AmFest and be like, tell Charlie Kirk that my whole party is shitty. Like, bro, are you shitting me? I mean, we saw that. It was uncomfortable. They were even making fun of him on the stage and like laughing at him and shit. And he was still like smooching, looking for the fucking brown star, bro. Jesus.
Okay. So again, if I had called her that, that would have been a different situation, right? But look, guys, also
That's not true. She would have been cool, I'm pretty sure, with you saying that.
on the policy or the strategy, when you go talk to the right wingers, first we did that, and I mainly did that, and there was a lot of blowback saying don't ever talk to the right wing, but they won the popular vote. How are we going to win back the voters if we never talk to them? If we don't win them back, we can't.
Dude, they won the popular vote by 1.4%, and that was mostly because a lot of the left caucus was fractured. 1.4%. Like, you think you're supposed to give up on human rights because of 1.4%? Like, bro. And what's more is you could talk to them 2 years from now. He was talking to him the day the election was over. Why would you do that? While they're making fun of Democrats, they're saying Democrats are over, they're saying we're fucking trash, they're trying to say all this shit, slandering us, and still calling people groomers and shit. Like, wait 2 years until they've suffered some of the effects of that Trump shit. Because you know they're wrong, goddammit. You know they are fucking wrong. And if you don't, then Franny is right, you know?
Never win an election. And that doesn't mean the far end of MAGA. It means the independents that voted for Trump.
And by the way, in Pennsylvania last night, in a Trump plus 15 district, who won?
A Democrat.
A Democrat. A Democrat won in Pennsylvania in a Trump plus 15 district.
Let's go, PA.
Cenk Uygur, you stupid bitch.
You're a bitch.
Paging the stupid bitch,
You're a
Cenk
bitch.
Uygur, a Democrat, just won in the special election. So maybe what?
They should call Cenk Uygur in his office. They should, in TYT Studios, they should call Cenk in the microphone. May the bitch present himself to the office, please, the bitch. And then Cenk Uygur comes over. You can't say that.
You think is not. Dude, I slander Republicans all day, every day. Get, bro.
Build something of your own. instead of being destructive over and over and over again.
She has the habituation room. She has built stuff of her own.
Again, how about you be constructive? And you say, hey, Jake, I don't like the way you guys are doing the TYT network. And
She has said that so many times, and you guys don't listen.
see that you've had this huge success, and you've given rise to other progressives that are now having success. And it seems like you helped to build something for our side.
Bro, he acts like he made every YouTuber's career. He acts like he made every YouTuber that went on their show's career. Like, shut the fuck up.
Well, you know what, though? These days, I don't agree with you. So I'm going to build something larger. Guess what? I would love that.
We all know he will not love that. He will not, right? Dude, he is being destructive. I mean, dude, we know he's not going to love it when they're larger. He's obsessed with his own capabilities as it is now. And not only that, but this whole thing, this has been 24 minutes. 24 fucking minutes of him just being a fucking douche. Being like a guy with zero self-awareness. Just ending a train wreck of fucking driving TYT right off a cliff like Thelma and Louise, except we're not rooting for the people in the car, right? We're rooting for the canyon floor. That's what it is. Dude, we're gonna fucking sink you, Jank.
We're gonna sink your ass, Jank. You're fucked. You're fucked, Jank. Your career, all your money, you're gonna be fucking broke on the street walking around. We're gonna be blaming you. We're gonna be like, yo, next time there's a forest fire in California and you're out in the streets, homeless, Jank. When there's a fire, we're gonna be like, yo, Jank started it. Yo, Jank started that fire, guys. Go fuck yourself, Jank.
You haven't officially gone under fully, but let me just say the new revolution of people, myself included, we're sinking you, boss.
I'm gonna sink your ass.
In 4 years, you're gonna be a fucking cautionary tale, bro.
The segment isn't just for her or to explain what's going on, but I do want to be clear with you. It's mainly to tell you what we stand for. Not just
what do you
stand
stand for, Jank?
But as a community, we all have to be.
What do you stand for other than griping for 25 minutes because somebody said you look like a bitch?
He stands for nothing.
When you go on Dr. Phil, which indeed you do look like a bitch.
Hey.
What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media.
Support your boy, yo. Subscribe. Political punk. All right. Let's move on. This is a whole hour long. It's about Ethan Klein. We got how fascism works. Author flees the U.S. for Canada. MAGA greenlights war with Mexico. Or we can watch Resistance 2.0, how to survive the next 4 years. Some more news.
Okay, ration time. Best part of the stupid, terrible day. What do we got today? Corn cream! They're all corn cream. How are they all corn cream? These are tablets. How are you corn cream? Hey, folks. Sorry, just been prepping for Doom. Because, hey, my goodness, here's some news. You know the news. Look, we're not going to make every episode about Donald Trump or Elon Musk, even though they are currently the presidents. We're all so very tired of him, and demoralized in general. But hey, at least we'll die someday. That's neat. Bad start. Okay, sorry. Here's the thing. In these first months, we're getting this non-stop blast of executive orders and department gutting and economic collapse and ICE detentions for the terrible crime of activism. And it probably feels like the apocalypse out there. Like Fury Road, but with fewer public roads. And while it is tiring and terrifying, let us not forget that it's also extremely frustrating and enraging. And I guess the question is it angering enough to make people, do something about it? And when I say people, I really mean the people in power. And when I say something, I really mean, I guess something. No notes on that word, even when I check notes.
Hey.
Resistance 2, cheer or die. Is that a Bring It On reference? Whatever, I don't care. So let's start with the Democrats. Remember the Democrats? They're the donkey team. They have a new logo. We did it! Yeah! They're the blue ones. I think Mark Ruffalo might be one. These Ruffles are now the minority party across the board, much like how the Mel Gibsons were the minority back in 2008.
No.
Remember that? It's important to remember things. When Mitchell McConnell served as Senate Minority Leader to the Obama tyranny of tan suits, he used his position to craft a very vocal Republican resistance. That's all to say that there is a proven path forward for the minority party. You lie, shouted that guy at Obama. Slow everything down. Cause a scene. It's the classic child at a grocery store tactic. Take a dump on the floor of Congress. There is a fascist in charge. He's allowed an unelected billionaire Nazi to root through the entire government and gut stuff based on his broken brain's vibes and on what would help his personal business interests. Squat down and poop in the House chamber. Only go to the bathroom in there from now on. Nancy Mace wants to make a fake problem about which bathroom to use? Okay, well this is your new bathroom now. It is for pooping. Is there anything happening even close to that coming from the Democrats?
The presidential election of November 5th was a
The
mandate.
Democrats are so weak. This is the only action some of the Democrats have done.
Like has not been seen in many decades. We won the popular vote by big numbers and won counties in our country.
That's the only thing one Democrat could do. The other ones didn't join him to stand up and get kicked out. One dude got kicked out. Weak. Democrats are fucking weak. Centrists are weak.
Okay, I would have preferred poop stuff, but that's Texas Democrat Al Green yelling to Trump that he does not, in fact, have a mandate like has not been seen in many decades, as the president put it. And Green is correct. The only actual historical aspect to Trump's victory was how close it was. He does not have a mandate. Good point, Al Green. Sorry you got censured for this, but at least your fellow Dems are no doubt behind you. Scratch that. Your fellow Dems minus the 10 who voted in favor of censuring you, Al.
Centrists. Fucking hate centrists, dude. Liberal fucking weak ass.
Green. Jesus. Freaking. Christ. Democrats. Jesus. Freaking. Christ. There is a goddamn decorum perversion amongst the donkeys. They are addicted to this ghost of civility, huffing the fumes of some long dead era. And the Republicans know this and are taking full advantage of it. Like, one of the Democrats that voted for the censure, Chrissy Houlihan, is now trying to censure Lauren Boebert for making blatantly racist remarks about Al Green. As if those two things are equal, as if the Republicans will also vote to censure Boebert, or that it matters at all. The president is detaining protesters, and the Democrats have been Democrats. Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrat House Minority Leader, set the flaccid tone by saying, quote, "We can't chase every outrage," in context of the Trump administration. As if moving trans women inmates to men's prisons, something that might kill them, is just some noise they have to cut past. Just outrage bait. They want to trigger you with their threats to cut Social Security, you see. Don't fall for it. Don't kick the football that is filling Guantanamo Bay with migrants. Hey, Jeffries, how's your book tour going? Are you selling a lot of copies of the fucking ABCs of democracy? You know, until it gets banned and burned or whatever. Maturity over Mar-a-Lago. Boom! That'll show them. Got him! My God, we are in trouble. Hey, Gavin, why are you hosting Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon on your podcast? Surely you know they're literally just propagandists for your alleged ideological enemies that you're allowing to speak until you stop them so that you can briefly agree with them. Nice to see you balance that out by having Tim Walz on, but maybe you should have Bannon on again to chuckle with him about how he very blatantly wants a third Trump term. Could you ask him about the third Trump term that he wants? Who do you think you're courting with this? You think you're gonna get the right to join your side, or will they perhaps ridicule you while gladly using your platform to spread their extremely hateful message? Like, maybe instead of ingratiating yourself with any group of voters, this actually makes everybody hate you more. What are you doing, man? Why do they think that the reason they lost is because they didn't demonize trans people enough? If you're wondering, no, the Democrats are not polling well right now. The plan to court the fascists isn't working. But maybe if they roll over and die more, that'll change.
I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? They control the House, the Senate, and the president.
Bro, get this motherfucker out of there. Get this motherfucker out of there. If you can't think of a fucking plan besides stand around and say we can't do shit because they have the majority, fire him. Fire him. Mitch McConnell, when they had the minority under Obama, when they had the minority, they held up Obama's picks. They held up everything Obama wanted to do. Act the same fucking way, but he's not a fighter. He's a liberal, centrist loser. They're not fighters. They're not actual politicians that are going to stand up for the people.
And see, what leverage do we have? They control the House, the Senate,
what leverage?
And the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have?
Leverage, you ask? Well, I don't know, Jeffries. Why are you asking me? But since you are asking me, well, I suppose that if there were some kind of vote that needed to happen, like just randomly saying words, but a spending bill that needed Senate Democratic votes to advance, then the Democrats would have leverage with that vote in order to get some demands met. Or at least, as a form of protest, they could refuse those votes like they did in the House, but with the fascism and all. But if the Democrats in the Senate were to just bow down, that would be rather pathetic, right? Like if the minority leader Chuck Schumer told everyone to vote to advance this hypothetical terrible Trump budget and then went on a book tour. Wow, a lot of book tours going on, but also, sorry, he canceled his book tour because his constituents were enraged with him. If that happened, that would be, as I said, pathetic. Especially if you, Hakeem Jeffries, hypothetically didn't call for Schumer's immediate resignation, but rather spent days doing your best to avoid talking about him and support him remaining in leadership, and are just sort of saying Dem leadership needs to coordinate better. Trump's been president for 2 months already. Probably should have discussed coordination a little earlier, guys. But hey, at least Schumer also still thinks he can reason with...
These Democrats make me want to rip my ball sack off. They want to make me put my ball sack in a fucking toaster. They're so useless. And I think it's on purpose. I think they don't really want to fight. They're just there to make money, fundraise. They don't give a shit about democracy.
And work alongside some Republicans. They're not all MAGA, you see. It's 2017, you see. Can we get a good solid glare at Schumer real quick?
This right-wing group,
the MAGA.
Not all Republicans.
Excellent. Oh, so good. More. Anyway,
that's how I feel.
Instead of that nonsense, take a dump. Seriously, act up. Physically move your body and not just to raise a small sign that says Drumpf or whatever. Fun fact, when many Democrats planned to disrupt Trump's speech to Congress, party leaders actually told them to keep it quiet. The vibe was, quote, express your resistance, but don't become the story. Fucking what? Don't become the story. You know how Trump has won 2 elections by not becoming the story?
I didn't really know what to expect from the boot camp process.
Exactly.
Yeah, like Trump won the last 4 elections by doing everything to get on the news. Everything. The news plays him all the time on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. What do you mean don't get the news, you fucking failure?
What they were able to take on was amazing.
Yo,
That
we
woman I-
need to get these Democrats out of here. I'm sorry. Every failure, weak-ass Democrat, centrist, liberal, neoliberal, whatever ideology, if they're weak, they gotta go. They gotta quit. They gotta get fired. They need to be primaried.
A reference to still in Congress and won't be censured for being racist. She became a story. I tell you what, you know what I'm talking about? She became the story, right? Okay. She's still around is my point. Are they allergic to winning? See, what's going to happen is what keeps happening to the Democrats. They run a lukewarm campaign, lose, and then decide that the problem is that their campaign wasn't lukewarm enough. Blame it on the voters, don't admit wrongdoing, don't engage in introspection that isn't sanctioned by your donors, except for Tim Walz apparently, the only guy doing any of this. The current plan is to ignore all that human rights jizz and focus on the economy, which they perceive as the reason they lost in 2024. We've already discussed this in our election retrospective, and yes, the economy and inflation specifically were a big part of it. But I'd also argue that you could focus on more than one thing. But hey, let's for a moment ask what it would look like to be the opposing party to Trump's economic policies. You still have to do stuff and not just say stuff. It doesn't matter if it won't work. You need to show voters that you are trying. You can't just do a bunch of press releases about how you think tariffs are bad. You need to actually try and use the law to stop them. Again, even if it doesn't work, even if you don't know how to lawfully do it, because not to put too fine a point on it, but if you look around at the other political party, they don't seem to care much about the rules, guys. What's that about? You need to confront to their faces and challenge the Republicans who are desperately trying to avoid responsibility for this impending economic collapse. Literally giving up their power to vote away his tariffs so that Trump's cult won't go after them. Tying their own hands in cowardice. Cowards. Because currently, and unfortunately, the biggest resistance we actually seem to have against Trump is the courts. There are so many lawsuits against his administration that the New York Times has set up a tracker tool to follow them all. We're even seeing some victories there, such as the blocking of Doge's access to our treasury, challenging their cuts to USAID, as well as the Supreme Court ruling in a 5-4 decision that Trump doesn't have king powers over the courts. Thanks, guys. I know that was hard for you, what with all the bribes, but thank you. The problem, however, is, as you can tell from all the previous stuff I said, these lawsuits are basically all the Democrats have. The courts are the only line of defense they've laid down. All of the extremely expensive eggs in this one basket, which is good, right? You should put all your eggs in one basket. It's a good basket. That's the saying, because Lord knows we've been here before, haven't we? Did it work out last time? Do you think it'll work out this time?
As a federal judge, also for the first time, is now accusing the Trump administration of straight up ignoring a court order, a move that could set up a high-stakes showdown, an existential constitutional showdown, perhaps, between the executive and judicial branches of the government.
Not good.
Great dictatorship.
So here's a basic question about all these legal cases against Trump. To what end? I'm not saying the courts shouldn't block the illegal stuff Trump is doing, but, and then what? When a judge says you need to do something, but then you don't do it, what normally happens? You get punished, right? But when it's the president and his weird rich friend, what then? If the executive branch is telling the judicial branch to get f***ed, the vice president literally and stupidly claiming that they have no power over them, then it's up to that third branch to step in, right? Uh-oh, whoops, better get some more tiny signs. This is all to say, if the legislative and judicial branch both fail to stop a tyrant, what is the next thing we do? Do we have to get all Tim Pool about it? I'm way too old to be firing a musket. You guys, I don't want to fire a musket. You gotta do all the, and then you gotta, plus, that new season of Daredevil is out, and I hear it's pretty on Disney Plus. But if we're truly on our own, failed by our government, what can we actually do that isn't resorting to violence? I don't want violence, do you? But I also certainly don't want to open the gates to fascism in the name of civility either. Is there something between those two things? Well, after the break, we're gonna try and find it. Maybe the healing power of commerce will help.
Let's go.
Like it's helped everything else so far. Greetings, salutations, and hello. I'm working on my synonyms. Word equivalent. Anyway, the news is exhausting, and I used to be desperate for a way to keep track of it all without crying, weeping, or being generally sorrowful. Thankfully, I found Ground News, which you can visit via the QR code on the screen. Ground News is a sponsor we sought out.
Banking services are provided by Piermont Bank, member FDIC. Do not put this one off, folks. Join thousands of small business owners who have streamlined their finances with Found.
Get Found, get Ground News to support these guys.
Hey folks, here we are. You found me. We were talking about Civil War, that thing with the cannons and you make trenches and everyone gets to wear those cool red sunglasses. Lots of fun. But counterpoint, could we not? Also, I was being dramatic for the sake of the ad break. To be exact, we were merely talking about all the checks and balances of our government failing to stop a confused old man from declaring himself king, starting multiple trade wars, detaining protesters, and allowing an oligarch to pillage our country because everyone picked on him. No one in the Democratic Party seems to care much, probably because they're all rich and old. So it's time to talk about what we citizens can do. Drugs?
What can we do, guys? Tell me.
Can we do drugs? Yes, but also, and other stuff too. Now, this is going to come in two parts. The boring chore part and the fun protesty part. Sadly, they are both important, and both can be fun if you're on drugs. I'm sorry. Do not do drugs. Really? They're saying don't do it. So the chore part is mutual aid. You know, the idea of communities coming together to mitigate the neglect of our government. Something we shouldn't have to do, but we gotta. Like, let's say if your city is on fire and the federal government threatens to withhold aid for some reason, and or certain established systems break down, again, for some reason, mutual aid would be pretty helpful to yourself or your neighbors. Or what if the government decides to completely destroy the Department of Education? Well, it would be good for all the teachers in the area, whether they teach in public school, private school, charter school, or Shredder's Dojo, to talk to one another and the public. For example, in Nashville, they formed the privately funded Educators Cooperative to encourage professional development and collaboration for all of the teachers in the greater area. This collaboration especially helped students who were forced to switch schools due to being in unstable living situations, as their former teachers could communicate the students' needs to their new ones without them needing to catch up or be left behind. Good idea. You're gonna need that in terms of supporting immigrants, queer kids, and other groups of students that are being specifically targeted. There are foundations like the Center on Immigration and Child Welfare Initiative and the Trevor Project that could help fill in those gaps. For everyone involved, you can donate school supplies and money to your local school district supply drive and nonprofits that help underserved communities. But the point here isn't just to feel better about yourself or to tell yourself you're helping. It's actually about creating tendrils within a community, demonstrating through works that we're all in this together and helping each other is good. Propping up your neighborhood in case that neighborhood might someday need to protect itself or be self-reliant. Often these efforts are designed to be multi-purpose for that reason. Starting a community garden or renewable microgrid is a good way to mitigate climate change, but more importantly is a good backup plan for when our government fails to aid a disaster. Starting a food pantry in your area is yet another tactic that both helps people right now and gives you the infrastructure to build a community. Or maybe you're in the city. Well, we all know about worker unions, but why not start a tenant union? That's a thing, and it's as simple as just asking people in your apartment building if they want in. You can even call for a meeting in the lobby of your building for everyone to discuss their concerns. Or while we're cooking, you could simply volunteer at your local library. Keep it alive because it's gonna need help. Donate stuff, not just dumb books. You can donate a lot of stuff. Some libraries rent out tools, for example. Or maybe your city or town has a swap shop where people can drop off items for others to take home. All of these things, and this is key, allow you to get to know your neighbors. Maybe they're cool, maybe they're a ninja, or that Finn Wolfhard kid, or some other much better thing we couldn't think up. Damn drugs! Because a lot of us, as individuals, can't start a revolution. Some of us are old, some are tired, some are broke, some are all three. But we all have something to offer, even if it's just to physically be there in case something like this needs to happen.
This is the scene playing out in cities across the country. Neighbors taking on ICE agents. In Nashville, they formed this human
Let's
chain,
go.
successfully blocking 2 immigration agents from taking away a father who's lived here for the last 14 years.
Those aren't soldiers, they're just people. For the record, that's from 5 years ago, but it could and should also happen tomorrow.
That's awesome,
This is
bro.
the real point of mutual aid, to protect the people the government is failing to help. So in terms of ICE and immigration, there are some other things you can do. If you live in a mixed status household or know someone who's undocumented, speak to an immigration lawyer about petitioning for the person who doesn't have legal status. If you're here through DACA, do the same thing and contact an immigration lawyer to see if you are eligible for a renewal or advanced parole. Don't dox yourself by posting on social media, as law enforcement may monitor it and zero in on your location. If you're bilingual, volunteer to interpret or translate on immigration cases. Obviously, some people might already know this stuff, but it's good to get it out there. The sharing of information is extremely important. As this administration has made clear, they want to get rid of information. Know your rights and inform others of theirs. They want people in the dark. The National Immigrant Justice Center has tips and techniques on what to do and not do if you encounter an ICE agent. Apparently, informing people of their rights is a crime now, so I guess be careful with that. And as a general note, avoid ICE. Don't invite them in. Don't talk to them. Just mean girl the shit out of them. Tell them to gargle your balls. There's no evidence that story is true, but it can be true. Because if you have the privilege to do so, you should absolutely stand up for the people around you. I'm not saying to get violent, but it's important to let ICE know that they are not welcome around you. And perhaps keep tabs on them.
We'll never get violent. Never. We're super peaceful. We're leftists. We love peace. Jesus. Love thy neighbor. Turn the other... You slap me, I'm gonna turn the other cheek. ICE. You gonna slap this fucking cheek, ICE?
Like some people are doing, provided you make sure what your legal boundaries are. Be careful. As we've discussed in the past, they're not just detaining criminals or illegal immigrants, but also legal immigrants, citizens, people young and old. They have quotas for their mass deportations and prison camp agenda. Keep doors shut, refuse to cooperate, boo them, make them feel bad about the job choices they've made. If the Quakers can do this stuff, so can we. If you wish to donate your time and money, you can seek out an immigrant-led organization near you to offer your help or donate to nonprofits that offer free to low-cost legal representation for immigrants through the Immigration Advocates Network. Even if you live in an area that seems very progressive, you have to be prepared for your local government to fail on this. Not because they necessarily want to, but because they are being forced to.
We're not allowed to enforce federal immigration laws, I've said, but we're also not going to get in the way of ICE, and I don't recommend that those officials, those like local or state officials, to obstruct ICE. That's not a wise course of action.
Immigration has been brought to the forefront this week with President Trump's return to the White House. On his first day, he signed roughly 24 executive orders, including one that vows to withhold federal funds from sanctuary cities.
Extremely chilling how many school districts felt the need to send out assurances that they won't let ICE try to detain students. But those assurances can only go so far. You might have to, dare I say, block the entrances to those schools at some point. Fun stuff. It'll be like playing Red Rover with fascists. Reich Rover. This is where we come to the second part beyond mutual aid. The fun part, where once we're a community, we can actually mobilize. I mean, there's no actual order here, and communities can be formed via protests too. Also, I don't have to explain to you how to protest. You get the sticks, you put paper on it, draw a dick or whatever. I'd rather point out how important and easy it is. I mean, thanks to being funded by extremely wealthy people, the far right has managed to be very loud with very few people. They love this. They love pretending to be a grassroots movement when they super aren't that. Those anti-lockdown protests, it was just one group doing that. In 2021 and 2022, 60% of book challenges were initiated by only 11 people. And yet somehow, these people managed to hijack the entire national conversation, often by moving around a lot.
Bro, dude, the left needs to be more organized, man. We need to cut off Cenk Uygur, cut off TYTs, stop listening to these useless channels that don't give us anything good. They don't organize us. They just spread drama and bullshit and hatred. We need to stop listening and just organize locally and listen to good, progressive shows that are anti-capitalist. They don't got to be totally anti-capitalist, just a little bit, sprinkle a little bit of anti-cap. That's how you know you're listening to the right thing.
And targeting very low-level locations. Moms for Liberty, for example, is a fake grassroots group that goes around harassing and or joining school boards before pushing for book bans. Hate groups like the Proud Boys go from city to city to demonstrate. I mean, just look at all the people who bust in on January 6th, right? These people have realized that the best way to attack something is at the knees. They have been going from drag show to abortion clinic to school board meeting, exhausting everyone who dares disagree with them. People who, I'd argue, have no real power to stop them. And this shows both how vital it is to oppose these people and how simple it is if you actually know what to do. And while we shouldn't be liars or bullies or funded by billionaires, unless they want to, Cuban, my DMs are open, my man, we can and should be aggressive and loud in the coming years, and specific about where we protest. And the good news is, we are already doing that.
Tesla's stock was hit hard with its steepest drop in 5 years. CEO Elon Musk's controversial role in the White House causing fallout for the company.
And for some who drive Teslas as well.
100 dealerships, just like this one across the country, targeted to send a message to the White House and Elon Musk.
Vandals are protesting Elon Musk's growing power in Washington.
Got safety protocols? Granger has the safety
Get fucked, Elon.
pros to call.
Washington.
Weekend protests at the Chicago Gold Coast Tesla dealership were peaceful. In New York, there were arrests after a demonstration at a Tesla showroom. Last week in Oregon, the windows of a dealership were shattered by bullets. And in Massachusetts, a Tesla charging station went up in flames.
No.
Turns out that when you do Nazi salutes, it doesn't really do wonders for the popularity of your company. Shucks. Well, you know, you can't learn something unless you try first. I'm sure he'll bounce back, what with committing fraud to take advantage of Canada's rebate system, allegedly. Of course, allegedly. Maybe there's a perfectly innocent explanation for why a single Tesla dealership claimed to sell 4,000 cars over a single weekend. Now, I'm not saying you should physically assault or harass or vandalize any individual driving or owning a Tesla. I mean, you could point and laugh at them, give them the old thumbs down, and if they're driving a newer model, that does mean that they probably knew they were supporting a weird white supremacist billionaire when purchasing that Cybertruck. Like, I get it. Maybe you bought your car many years ago, but I'm sorry to say, it's now a Nazi car. Sell the car. Sorry, I'm sorry. Take the bus. It's unfortunate. I'm also not saying, for the court record, that people should vandalize Tesla dealerships.
No.
I mean, you don't have to set them on fire. They do that on their own already. And no matter your view here, it needs to be noted that acts of vandalism and violence will be used by fascists to increase their fascist crackdowns.
Yeah.
Historically, we know this. They're already calling someone keying cars domestic terrorists. So be careful. But protests seem good. Equating the purchase of a Tesla with supporting a Nazi is good because it's correct. Is it the fault of the employees that the company they work at is suddenly a Nazi company? No. Getting a new job is hard, I get it. But, you know, Nazis. Sorry, you're working for a weird Nazi guy. I don't know what else to tell you. Just this February, Elon Musk replied his 100 emoji to a meme using the F slur posted by a now banned Nazi account. Don't work for him, don't drive his cars, period. He did the Nazi salute twice. Let's see it again. Made a little grunt too. You know how you scowl and grunt when saying your heart goes out to people? Sorry, Nazi car. Like, had Musk apologized or stepped down from Tesla and Doge, or had Trump disavowed Elon after that, or had there been any consequences, then maybe people wouldn't have to physically show up at dealerships and voice their anger. But as I said, no one's helping us. And it turns out that people really, really don't like Elon Musk and his Doge team. Along with these Tesla protests, Republican lawmakers are being overrun with angry constituents at town hall meetings specifically pissed about Musk's little gang of efficiency freaks. Elon will simply not shut the f up and is just spiraling and doubling down, often contradicting Trump himself. He is a very stupid man, and you can even see Trump and his administration starting to show concern. Trump is now having to handhold him through the backlash, selling his cars
Get fucked, dude. I hope your whole life collapses before your eyes.
in front of the White
I
House.
hope you're broken in the street, just like Cenk Uygur. I hope you and Cenk Uygur are this is mean, but homeless neighbors.
And saying that it's
Don't worry, I'll give you guys free housing when we get it. I'll fight for that. But for now,
illegal to not like Elon Musk. It's now domestic terrorism to vandalize Elon's little stupid cars. Real snowflake behavior. Also, that sure means that these protests are working, doesn't it? People don't like the shit he's doing, and by extension, a whole lot of what the GOP is doing too. It is very obvious that Democrats have an opening with Musk and should be doing nothing but tethering him to the Republican Party, which desperately wants to avoid the angry crowds and are now starting to avoid town halls. For the record, dismissing the angry town halls is exactly what the Democrats did in 2009, right before they lost the midterms. Even if the majority of angry constituents are Democrats, this is still good. These town halls are actually drawing more members into these Democratic groups. It's working for them. Unlike what the party leaders think, it's actually good to be the story, because that narrative gets picked up by non-Democrats as well.
Exactly.
Keep doing this is my point. Keep protesting Tesla and showing
yes, let's do it.
up whenever a Republican dares to pretend to be a regular citizen. This might be controversial to say, but as long as there isn't violence, I think it's good to tell people like J.D. Vance he isn't welcome in public. He's traded that in for power and money at the expense of the taxpayers. He doesn't get to ski anymore, sorry. Don't give them an inch. Do not allow the normalization of fascism. Like if Steak and Shake wants to advertise their throwback fries with a Nazi font, as in like literally the Nazi font.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
And go full MAGA and host RFK while he talks about how vaccines have ghosts in them, well then guess what people need to do in front of Steak and Shakes now? Guess what employees should be doing right now? The company is literally courting white supremacists and fascists to promote their new beef tallow fries. Other companies do that too, you know, without invoking Hitler. For every headline, for every sensible person, the narrative needs to be Steak and Shake is now a Nazi brand. Forever. Because that's what it now is. It's not petty to point that out or to protest a restaurant chain for supporting fascism, because the right is currently going all in on Steak and Shake as we speak. That is the battleground they chose, so that's where we need to go. Anyway, brilliant segue to our ads. They aren't Nazis, as far as we know. Wow, bad enforcement, Cody. Bad job. Ads. Toodles, my noodles. The hello kind of toodles. If toodles didn't mean goodbye. You know, it can be...
I like AG1. Buy AG1, y'all. Buy it. AG1 is good. Good for you.
In late March, on a healthier note. Hello. Ads. I told you ads. Welcome back. I have some good news, or rather, I had some good news, which was that Americans seem pissed about what's happening. But there's some new good news, which is that there are some Democratic leaders who are meeting this moment to an extent, who are reacting appropriately to our president dabbling in fascism and a government that has begun detaining legal residents for their speech. Let me show you what that looks like. Let me show you what an appropriate reaction is.
How many more New Yorkers? How many more New Yorkers will you detain? How many more New Yorkers without charge? Do you believe in the First Amendment? Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan?
That is New York State Assemblymember Zoran Mamdani absolutely laying into Trump's border czar.
Let's go, Zoran. I hope you win, buddy.
Having to be held back by the police lest he eat the man's entire head. That is what I would consider a measured response to what they are doing. Good for him for properly representing the rage of the people he represents, because most of us don't have access to these ghouls currently fleecing the American people, and it's extremely frustrating when the people who do have access don't do anything with that. So good for him. I don't know, maybe you see that as being still performative. The guy is running for New York City mayor after all. But also, like, vote for him. Maybe he'd be a better mayor than disgraced former governor. And even if it is performative, it's effective. Forbes posted this video with the headline, "Viral Moment," because yes, as I keep saying, you want to be the story. And there are other Democrats who see Elon Musk and all the Nazi stuff as a clear opening. Bernie Sanders, for example, is visiting key swing districts on a fighting oligarchy tour aimed directly at Musk. AOC is hosting webinars explaining the rights of immigrants even after being told that it was illegal, which it isn't, until it is, I guess. Over in Connecticut, Senator Chris Murphy has been very vocal about his party moving away from progressive ideas, and how much that sucks and eats. I do have some notes regarding some of Chris's other opinions, but here, he doesn't seem alone in this sentiment. Thanks to these freaks being, politicians, we are seeing Democrats try to stand out by specifically opposing Trump. Maine Governor Janet Mills is refusing to follow Trump's executive order banning trans girls from sports. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is whipping out the actual N-word. No, bad phrasing.
If you think I'm overreacting and sounding the alarm too soon, consider this. It took the Nazis 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 days, 8 hours, and 40 minutes to dismantle a constitutional republic.
Nazi. He said Nazi. Good for him. Accurate. See how this is better than inviting Steve Bannon on your podcast? And while we're talking about Nazi junk, we should talk about the growing rage amongst federal employees. One of the first things Hitler did was ensure that everyone around him was a loyalist. He did that through violent means, but also political means. For example, replacing local police and local governments with his people. Trump is currently and very blatantly looking for loyalists in every position he can put them in, and it would help him greatly if the old guard were to just go away. There's a reason they ran that buyout scam to get people to voluntarily quit. There's a reason he's embracing Elon and Doge despite the unpopularity. He doesn't care about economic turmoil or the country falling apart. He is very clearly and immediately trying to break down the federal government and isolate America so that he can rebuild it in his image. Or maybe not even rebuild it. Maybe he just wants to pee on the ashes. But it's nice to hear actual people in the government say this stuff and recognize how scary it all is. And we should look for these helpers and rally behind them. We're lucky to have them. In fact, one of the benefits of having Elon Musk, a stupid person, stupidly hacking off the limbs of the government is that he's creating an entirely new resistance made up of former and current federal employees. Because Elon Musk is bad at running stuff, and his employees often learn that the hard way. There are Democrats capitalizing on that. For example, arranging a class action lawsuit against Musk for his cuts.
Let's
It
go.
warms my icy heart, so cold, to see that many federal employees appear to be organizing on Reddit and refusing to resign, which is good because the current administration wants them to resign. Please don't resign if you can handle it, please. But they will need more help. He's going to find all sorts of ways to punish these people. They need to be supported. A lot of people need to be supported, and I'm sorry I couldn't get into detail about every single one of them. But we need to support Brad. And for the average person wondering what they can do to help Brad, sometimes it's as easy as not cooperating. Interesting coincidence, but there's a declassified CIA manual that's suddenly getting popular online that's devoted to tactics for sabotaging organizations from within. Simply by using incompetence. It's called the Simple Sabotage Field Manual, and you can read it for free on Project Gutenberg. It outlines passive tactics that an average citizen can use to gunk up the process for, fascism. This is especially relevant if you work in the government or for a large and terrible corporation, maybe a fast food place courting Nazis or a car company run by, at best, a Nazi sympathizer. Basically, this manual is the CIA's guide to trolling, with advice like, quote, misunderstand orders, ask endless questions, or engage in long correspondence about such orders.
That's so
Quibble
funny.
over them when you can. And do your work poorly and blame it on bad tools, machinery, or equipment. Complain that these things are preventing you from doing your job right. And haggle over precise wordings of communications, minutes, resolutions. And my favorite, work slowly. Think out ways to increase the number of movements necessary on your job. Use a light hammer instead of a heavy one. Try to make a small wrench do when a big one is necessary. Use little force where considerable force is needed, and so on. It also has some advice we can't legally suggest you follow, and really we're not recommending you do anything. But it's filled with fun little ways to passively use incompetence as a tool of protest. Something a lot of us probably don't need a guide for. But mainly the reason it's interesting is that it reminds us that anyone is capable of fighting against something using very few tools. A person doesn't need to be John McClane, they can just be Bill Lumbergh. And for once, people can take the torments of bureaucracy and harness them for good. And so if you're one of many people who simply feel too tired for any of this shit, well, maybe you can use that exhaustion. Do what you can with what you have. Because the good news here is that mutual aid and doing the right thing isn't just easy, but comes naturally. Cooperation is pretty vital for evolution, no matter what somebody who maybe we could talk about for a few hours tells you about lobster hierarchies. In fact, while any modern conservative would
The lobsters, their hierarchy. The lobster is like an alpha male. Yeah, he has some weird lobster theory. It's a whole thing.
Cry this is socialist nonsense. Mutual aid is pretty embedded in America's history and is a key component of resistance movements. Stuff like the Black Panther Party's free breakfast program in 1969 involved giving kids food at local churches every week, up until the FBI and cops ran a propaganda campaign against it, as well as, on one occasion, pissing on the food. Boy, cops are bad. Or remember the COVID pandemic? Sure you do, it's not over yet. But did that suck? Not only was Trump president, but the entire country decided to throw poor and disabled people into a grinder and feed the slurry to shareholders.
Yeah.
It was pretty much just up to us, just like it is now. Per one estimate, the number of mutual aid groups in the US grew within the pandemic from 50 to 800. Not just out of need, but out of their effectiveness. They further demonstrated their effectiveness in the aftermath of the recent LA fires. They demonstrated it so much that literally the city of Los Angeles reached out to a mutual aid group for masks. Mutual aid is empowering and natural. It gives a voice to the people. It's how we grow and evolve. In every study on the matter, we found that disasters actually make people more compassionate. Again, because that's how we survive. Despite every fake media story about looting or any fictional portrayal of a lawless apocalypse, the reality is that we tend to pull through for each other. The lawless apocalypse is happening inside the government, not in our neighborhoods. In the wake of a major hurricane, for example, studies have seen less property and violent crime, not more. And right now, we are experiencing a disaster. And that sucks. But we're good at disasters. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And they will try to tell you otherwise. And in turn, you tell them to eat your shit or shit on the floor. Speaking of, my stomach hurts. Or as the doctor makes me say, my tummy hurts. It's weird, because all those MREs I ate, those are like the dried up food packets. I ate like a bunch of them. And they weren't expired.
Ooh.
But I ate a bunch of them, so I should be full. Oof. I'm gonna go do something actionable.
Hey, that was good.
Oh my, that was quick. I feel so much better. I ate 6 of those things. It was 9,000 calories. It's a new record for me that I don't want to break. I will be back again. Hold on.
Gotta take a shit.
Even quicker the second time. Feeling good. Nope.
Damn.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Just kidding about earlier. I've never pooped. So
He doesn't poop. He's like the North Korean president. He doesn't poop. He doesn't have an anus.
Make sure to like and subscribe. That'd be really nice of you. Leave a comment if you want to be nice, and if you want to be mean, get out of here after you leave a mean comment or a nice one. Like and subscribe is my point. We've got a podcast called Even More News. You can check that out at the podcast store or at the YouTube store, which is this website. We have our podcasts on YouTube now, twice a week now. Oh my God, there's so many things happening. You can also listen to this show, Some More News, as a podcast. If you don't want to look at me, you can just listen to the show. It's fine. And we've got a patreon.com/some more news, and we've got a merch store with a URL that is readable and on the screen right now. And once you read that, you can type it in to the little bar at the top of your little browser, and you can go there and buy some stuff with other stuff on it. And if you don't want to do that, that's okay. You've already left your mean comment. Why would you leave? We're nice here.
You guys are nice. I like you guys.
Certain people. We're less nice to others. Thanks for watching. See you later.
Pluto TV has all the shows.
Alrighty, now we're gonna check out. I don't want to watch anything that's an hour long. An hour long, it's too much. Let's check this out.
I'm leaving because the political climate for the universities and the political climate for freedom looks grim in this country. We face a fascist regime.
A Yale professor and an author of a book on fascism has announced that he is now leaving the U.S. for Canada, citing Trump's attacks on free speech and the move towards fascism as the reason. So in this video, I'm going to get to a couple of clips from a recent interview that he gave where he announced this, as well as a couple of comments from his recent piece in The Guardian and what has led to all of this. So let me first start with what's been going on at universities. So there are a few articles that I'll share here that give sort of an overview. Politico, which, let's be clear, is more of a right-leaning outlet, writes here, universities are caving to Trump with stunning speed and scope. So they cite various universities. Columbia is one of them. I'll get to more on Columbia in a minute. But Columbia University, University of California, Dartmouth College, as a few examples of the moves that these universities are making to capitulate to the Trump administration. The Washington Post headline here, Trump says pressure on Columbia is only the beginning for college campuses. So that was on March 15th. Subheading here, the president has launched a campaign to remove non-citizens who protested against Israel and ban university administrators to his will. And
Bro, what happened to freedom of speech? You have the freedom of speech to criticize countries. You can criticize Israel. That's not anti-Semitic. Is it Islamophobic to criticize fucking the Saudi Arabia or some shit? Or you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are y'all talking about?
He is successful so far. So Columbia University, this came about a week later, received a wave of criticism on Friday after it agreed to a number of demands from the Trump administration as part of negotiations over $400 million in federal grants and contracts. So this, in addition to many of the moves or many of the agreements that they have made with the Trump administration, one of them being giving broad power to a government-controlled independent individual, in quotes, to oversee their Department of Middle East, South Asian, and African Studies, and the School Center for Palestine Studies. But also, Columbia has hired over 30 special officers who will have the ability to remove individuals from campus and arrest them.
Wow.
Hard to know what to add there. So we've already seen some examples of what they are doing. So basically, this gives the Trump administration complete, the full ability to sort of see who has been a part of these protests against Israel's genocide. So, as I've discussed several times already in various videos, Mahmoud Khalil, immigration agents arrest Palestinian activist who helped lead Columbia University protests. So he was a target of those arrests. Another student, this is Yunseo Chung, who's was born in South Korea but has been in the U.S. since she was 7 years old, is someone else who was targeted for deportation, though she has sued. And a recent headline I saw suggests that she gets to stay in the U.S. for now as she's fighting this. Another example we saw yesterday in a very disturbing video. As CBC News writes here, U.S. immigration authorities have detained and revoked the visa of a Turkish doctoral student at a Massachusetts university, Tufts University, who had voiced support for Palestinians in Israel's war in Gaza, a development the state's attorney general called alarming. So that student...
Bro, like, and Yonseo Chung needs to be careful, the Korean lady. She needs to be careful because they'll still grab you and they'll deport you. They don't give a shit about court orders, dude. They don't give a shit.
Misa Ozturk. Now, this video in particular, I think, has made the rounds because of how disturbing it is. These plainclothes officers approach her. You can't even tell they're officers. 6 of them, I believe, approach her, and she's taken away screaming. Now, Yashar Ali tweeted this out with the video saying, when this video was first texted to me, I assumed it was from Iran. The way she screams, she was wearing a hijab, the way the law enforcement approached her, it looked no different from the way Islamic Republic authorities arrest women. It's from Massachusetts, of course. There's no reason to detain someone in this manner who isn't a danger to the public. None at all. Now, these are 3 of many. As Marco Rubio confirmed, he revoked the visa of the Tufts student and said he likely has revoked the visas of hundreds more. Quote, "We do it every day. Every time I find one of these lunatics like somebody who wrote an op-ed criticizing a genocide," that's what he describes as a lunatic, "I take away their visas. The total number of revoked visas, quote, might be more than 300 at this point." This gets to Jason Stanley. This is the professor of philosophy at Yale, who has announced that he is now leaving the U.S. to go work in Canada.
Colombia is completely bending to an authoritarian regime. And what we're seeing across universities, Michelle, is we're seeing this culture of fear, this idea that if we just do what they say, everything will be okay. But I'm seeing this everywhere. And it's one reason that I am probably leaving the United States to the University of Toronto.
Really? Huh. Is that, I was going to ask, what are your thoughts about your own course here? So you feel strongly enough about this that you are going to leave the country?
Yes, because I would not do this if I saw all of our universities banding together. But it's not just the universities, Michelle. It's the law firms. It's all of our American institutions. When Paul and Weiss capitulated, the part of the reason they capitulated is other law firms, instead of defending them, were going after their clients. Now, we see universities saying things, including my university, like, we're going to keep our head down so we're not targeted. As soon as I heard that vocabulary, I knew sort of, it might be that the game is over, because
you can't capitulate to fascists, dude. They don't stop. If you let them go into school, they're going to keep going in. They're going to want more.
You're not banding together if you say, we're going to keep our head down.
All right, so I'll get to another clip from him in a second here, but this is the author of How Fascism Works, The Politics of Us and Them. If anybody understands how fascism works, it's the guy that wrote a book on how fascism works. The moves on education in particular, this is directly impacting his ability to do his job. He is unable to be a professor discussing actual history because of the directives being given by the Trump administration. So he goes into more detail in his piece in The Guardian. Trump is setting the U.S. on a path to educational authoritarianism. While we watch students getting handcuffed, vague new guidelines create a culture of fear over teaching our history. So he goes into a lot of detail in this piece. I will link to it below the video in the description box under sources. But essentially, there was a directive from the Department of Education, the Office of Civil Rights, with their new interpretation of federal civil rights law, which goes into protecting essentially white people as a protected class of citizen. Meaning, because of how vague all of this is written, if you discuss the history of slavery or the history of what was done to indigenous people, you risk losing your job. You risk being reported by other people within the university or students, and risk losing your job because of your discussion of history, because of how it may make white people feel. In this case, white racists, I assume, or people that don't care about actual literal history. So he goes into a lot more detail in this piece, but he summarized a bit of it here, saying the guidelines create a culture of fear and intimidation around history. If one discusses black history, one immediately risks endorsing the view that the U.S. is, quote, built upon systemic and structural racism. The guidelines invite students to report their teachers and their school administrators for not adhering to a state-imposed ideology about history, as well as state-imposed ideology about gender, which threatens to make teaching critically about gender identity or including trans perspectives into school on student harassment. Failure to adhere to state ideologies about history and gender fits this new definition of school on student harassment. Billions in federal funding is at stake. So he goes into a lot more detail here. Worth noting, he has...
Oh, I forgot to change the topic, yo.
So he wrote the book How Fascism Works, as I said earlier. So he's accepted a position at the University of Toronto's Monk School of Global Affairs and Public Policy. Here he is discussing more about the decision to leave.
So I want to get back to you though. You're leaving. Any regrets about that? Do you feel in a way you're abandoning the fight, or how do you see it?
I think Canada is very centrally in the fight right now. You know, I would return to the United States, my home, in a heartbeat. And I hope, you know, and that's why I'm saying I'm probably moving to Canada, because I might return to Yale if they essentially allow me with leave structures. And I'm leaving because the political climate for the universities and the political climate for freedom looks grim in this country. We face a fascist regime. So I can best fight it in a country that is dedicated to freedom, to the values that I love, the values that America, the United States, was formed on: freedom and equality. And Canada definitely centers those values. I have two black children, two black Jewish children, and, you know, the United States to use one of their identities as a sledgehammer for fascism and to try to erase another of their identities is deeply problematic for me. And, you know, there's all these longstanding features of this country, like mass incarceration that I worry, and violent policing that obviously, with two black sons, concern me as well. But this is my home. The United States is my home. It will always be my home. I'm a patriotic American, and I want to fight for our country. But I do have two small children. I do have two young children. And I do think that the institutions that I love are being existentially threatened, and they're not defending themselves in a way that gives me any kind of hope that free inquiry will still be possible.
Trump spoke endlessly about the importance of free speech, yet here's the administration.
No, he don't give a shit.
Deporting people for their free speech.
He don't give a shit.
Against a genocide. And now you have professors feeling like they have to leave the country because they're not allowed to even discuss history and how it actually happened. Free speech. Last thing worth sharing from his piece here. What does it say that a scholar of fascism is leaving the U.S. right now? Said Stanley, quote, "Part of it is you're leaving because ultimately it is like leaving Germany in 1932, 33, 34. There is resonance. My grandmother left Berlin with my father in 1939. So it's a family tradition."
Wow. Let's check out they're still alive.
Sanity, Canada will be okay. Also, my hope that we will all survive and everything will be fine. A few more left. Shy Lurker guy says, would it net harm or net help the Poilievre campaign to call the CPC agenda Canada Doge 2025?
He's ever done. Get those. Put SpaceX and Tesla. All those are child's play compared to that hair job he's got done on that head of his.
It's because he had no role in it. Someone else did it, so it's actually good. Yeah. Once he touches something, it falls to shit.
Wasn't there the whole thing that happened where allegedly Grimes and Elon locked Azalea Banks into a room and they were doing like LSD or something like that, and they were trying to coerce her to have a threesome with them, and she was locked in the room for like 3 days with them?
I vaguely remember this, but I don't want to speak authoritatively on it.
Yeah,
I remember there being some weird drama with those three.
I'm wondering if she said this to like just like spite and just be like, fuck this guy, like he got a botched penis, because I could totally see her doing that, allegedly, you know?
Can we talk about something else? I want to talk
Okay.
about
Yeah,
Elon
we
Musk's
should, because we got
penis.
our guest joining us right now.
Oh, thank God.
There you go. Let's
They
bring
got
up.
out of that conversation.
Let's talk about that dick.
Francesca.
Yeah,
That's what we were
like,
talking
Say
about.
it,
actually.
Francesca.
Talk about that dick. Dude, why do they all have weird dicks though? Was it Harvey Weinstein was weird? I don't want to talk
Trump
about it. Hi,
with the
Ariana. I don't think
Yeah.
we've met. What's up?
Hi. We follow each other on Instagram, but it's nice to meet you
We
formally.
do. Nice to meet you. Love your work. Look good to
You
good to be
too.
on with all you guys.
Happy
great
to
to
have
have
you
you
on,
here.
Francesca.
Yay. What a day.
Yeah.
Been
So,
fun.
what's life been like for you? Any new big news?
Yeah, let's just
regarding
jump right
anything?
into it. Let's
Life
not give it
changes.
a minute.
I mean, I guess this is kind of the thing. There's way too much. If I were a flagship, progressive news network on a day where, I don't know, a student was disappeared off the streets, and I just would never lead off my show with a 20-minute takedown of a contributor and why I don't want her on my network anymore because she mean to me. Like, that just doesn't seem like a priority. And so
Francesca, that's why you don't run the #1 progressive news web platform on the internet. Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. The video is kind of
Polymarket Studios, of course.
the video is crushing it for them. I did, issue a response. If people want to go check that out, youtube.com/FrannyFio.
I watched it. It was good.
Thanks, man.
Some good info in there.
Thanks. I mean, it was, just some personal stuff that needed to be said just to give full context. But the reality is, after I interviewed Cenk in December and kind of had a frank conversation about hey, why are you going on, Charlie Kirk and PBD and Tim Pool and not really pushing back or trying to, actually score any points for our side. No one invited me back on the main show. I was never invited back on the main show since December. And so tacitly, it was clear that I was not going to be invited back. Then when I put out my little Curb Your Enthusiasm video that sort of pointed out that Cenk laughed in my face about there being detention camps, and of course, lo and behold, Gitmo is opened to,
Literally
Venezuelan migrants, alleged gang members, which honestly, TYT's coverage has very much contributed to the hysteria around, sadly. And when I put that out, I think he got really mad. I think he got really prickly. I then interviewed Mondale Robinson, who also quit as a TYT contributor. He didn't like that interview. He's been watching. He watches, right? And then, of course, to my patrons, I did call him a bitch. I said he was acting like a bitch. And let's be real, there's a difference. I'm just saying, in that moment, he was acting like a bitch. And that was when he did something that I think has been a pattern for both Cenk and Anna, and the pattern I have a problem with, which is going on right-wing shows and actually, instead of arguing about issues or trying to win points for a side of justice, democracy, freedom, is actually serving up so-called extremist leftists on a platter as a sacrificial lamb.
This is what I talked to my wife about this because she watches TYT. I've talked to her about this. He shits on the left way more than he fucking has a hard conversation with the right. Like, what the fuck? He treats them like he gives him a little blowjob. The right wing.
As an offering, look at this crazy person who said that trans athletes can participate in, whatever, Olympic sports. And isn't that insane? Let's agree on that. And that is my offering to you as I come to your table. And I said, it doesn't get you anything. And in that moment, I was the offering. The things I've said on Piers Morgan about trans athletes, things I continue to say about trans athletes.
Yeah, what struck me from his video about you was, first of all, he basically front loads it with this attack on you, calling you max left because of your transposition, and he basically tries to do what you did with your curb theme, albeit much less successful.
Right.
He tries to prove that he was right, and dunk on you when he doesn't prove his point. Like, he shows a poll, or CNN's Harry Enton talking about a poll saying that most Americans don't agree with trans athletes. None of us are talking about the popularity of trans athletes and not basing our policy on popularity or support for policies on popularity. We're basing it on morality and making a substantive argument. So just saying, well, policy X is unpopular, therefore it's not correct. I mean, you could make that argument about gay marriage 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Rights movements go through, right? Like, how popular was, Black Lives Matter? How popular was the civil rights movement in general at the time? What was it polling at?
Desegregation. That was very unpopular. So we're not making an argument based on popularity. I'm not a populist inherently. I'll use populism to my advantage if it suits my narrative to get what I want accomplished. But at the end of the day, I have moral principles. And that was the point that you made that went right over his head. And what I loved is that in the end, he was talking about how unbothered he was by all of this while playing the clips of you dunking on him and shitting on him in the most hilarious fucking way imaginable.
It kind of looked good, right? I came off looking pretty good.
It made you genuinely look fucking amazing. Yeah. I don't get how he does that and then pretends to be unbothered when clearly, like, if that were me, like, if I was the subject of that and you're like, you look like a bitch, I would be bothered. Just saying.
I guess, I always feel like it's weird when someone sets up the sort of parameters of debate and so it's like as if I have to respond to every single thing he said in that video, because really he didn't respond to the substance, because there's a reason I said those things about him. There's a reason I said, I don't know if you're smart and I don't know who your mentors are. I don't know if you know your political histories of struggle. I don't know if you care about that. I don't know if you care about civil rights to the point about, same-sex marriage or interracial marriage. These were things that were also not popular. So I'm not really sure what your touchstones are. And the reason I said that is because of his behavior since Donald Trump has been reelected. There's a reason, and he completely didn't address that. And I've been really obsessed with this Democratic. I mean, she's a progressive leftist strategist who studies movements and electoralism around the world, Anat Shenker-Osorio. And she came on my show and she said something great, and I don't want to butcher it, which is the job of a good message isn't to say what is popular. It's to make popular what needs to be said. And what needs to be said is things like trans people are people, and you should not, if you bar people on just any kind of legal framework from certain aspects of life, that creates a slippery slope, a permission structure, even a legal structure to take away rights from other groups of people. Trans issues are absolutely a trial balloon on authoritarianism. And Mara Jones was on my show the other day. She said exactly that. I mean, so it's like, these are the things that I don't think he gets, and I don't think he cares to get. But of course, you guys, we're all the max left, all right?
Yeah,
and
we are
all very biased. And all y'all have tangled with him before too. And I literally asked him when I talked to him on my show in December, I was like, so like, what shows do you like? Like, which leftist do you even support? And he said nice. He was like, like Mike Figueredo, and, even though I'm like, have you heard anything Mike's been saying? Like, listen to him, right?
Just feels on you.
Yeah. And then he said, I like Kyle. And I know Kyle hasn't gone super negative, but he has massive critiques. And Crystal Ball's interview with Cenk was mostly Crystal going, okay, like she held her tongue, but like, so it's just like, it sucks, but for us, for you guys who do this every week, it's like so great because it's sort of like, all right, here is someone who is, alienated their former allies. And we in this moment, I mean, we should be forming unions for content creators. Yeah. We should be fucking ready when Google comes at us for speaking out about Palestine,
which they will.
Which they will, for speaking about trans rights. Like, we need to get prepared right now. And sadly, one of the biggest, blue bubbles on the Media Matters map, isn't with us on this.
Mm-hmm. That's what makes it sad to me, because I watched TYT for a very long time. Back when I first started college,
dude,
politics, like I wrote papers.
We all on the left, on the online left, grew up watching TYT. TYT are the ones changing, dude. It's not us.
I was on New Media citing TYT. So to me, it's not just like, I know people like will accuse me of trying to drama farm and shit like that, but I'm like genuinely sad because I felt like I really looked up to these people, and to lose like the biggest network, the largest online news network, and to see, and Cenk likes to simplify his anti-trans take, when if you look at everything they say, look at what Anna says, she's just transphobic. Like, it's not just about sports anymore. There's other things that she says.
She said, I don't know how I feel about locker rooms. I don't know how I feel. You know, I mean, this is there are Proud Boys, you know, in LA protesting, have been protesting outside of, you know, spas because they allow trans people. Like, this is not abstract. I mean, these are real white nationalist talking points. These are, and sort of clarion calls, whatever. That's their, and I'm not saying she's a white nationalist, but it's like, you gotta look at the connection here. Oh, I don't know how I feel about locker rooms. I'm fine with bathrooms, locker rooms. What's the difference? Let's see, how much of a wall must there be? You know, I mean, obviously, Ariana and I know that all we're doing is checking out people's genitals in female locker rooms. That's all you do. Mostly, you're like, oh, hey, hey.
Yeah, I can't confirm.
Yeah.
It's civil rights terms and conditions, essentially. It's what they're trying to set up, right? And this is the reason why the right uses all of these issues. These are wedge points. It's a really easy thing to be divisive on, because no one wants to sit there and be like, what, are you okay with biological males going into female bathrooms and penises? Now, obviously, everyone's going to be like, oh, shit, no, wait, God, oh, Jesus, that sounds terrible. But then if it's like, this is exactly why I'm going to frame it in such a way that when you hear it, like, described that way, of course, oh, yes, maybe things have gone too far. The gender ideology, the woke mind virus, everything's taking over. And you're giving them all the ammunition they need. Now it comes from the left. Look, it's not just the right who says this. The home of progressives is saying that things have gone too far. Now,
That's
oh my God. It's insidious, right? It can be so much more damaging when you have like a Jesse Singal or someone who establishes themselves as a centrist or a leftist or a liberal or something like that. The right uses that when it comes to like, hey, now we're trying to enforce laws that are directly going to discriminate against people. And it's not just coming from right wingers, it's coming also from liberals, centrists, and the left as well. So here we go.
And it's not even just that. It's that, you know, TYT is fairly, you know, a big channel, obviously, online. So their viewers don't all share like their most progressive views, or even really may not consider themselves all that political to begin with. Like maybe they lean, you know, left, so they watch TYT, and maybe they have a question about what they're like. Maybe they're questioning where they should, how they should feel about, you know, trans issues. And what TYT says will be highly influential to them. And what they're getting from TYT is, hey, you can still feel like you're progressive on other issues, and it's okay to be anti-trans rights on all these others, and that's a cool ideology to have.
And speaking
that's
of
what people are taking away from it. Yeah.
No, and I think that speaking of those other issues is actually kind of where I have even some of the biggest problems, especially with Anna's coverage. And in my video, I sort of explain that, you know, specifically on the LA wildfires, taking, you know, a 10-15 minute segment to put the face of this undocumented mentally ill man who was like citizens arrested by people, you know, in West LA for trying to start a fire that had nothing to do with the Palisades fire or the Altadena fires, right? Like nothing to do with it. Plasters his face like we're doing straight up like local news psycho propaganda, right? And then same with the Tren de Aragua stuff in, you know, Aurora, Colorado. Anna swears and stands by her coverage that they were all overrun. And you're like, this is so dangerous, man. It is so scary. And it's like, okay, let's say they're gangs. They're overrun with it, right? Like, do we believe that, like, do you understand like the consequences of who you're talking to and what how you're talking about this? Because she never says it. She leads the audience to the water, and she's shadowboxing with the left. Like, well, you see, I don't know, because they're there and they're harming those residents. And it's like, well, so what's the answer? Because we know what the answer is under authoritarianism, which you seem okay to casually walk toward. It's arresting innocent Venezuelans who, yes, don't have documentation, but who are seeking asylum, who happen to have tattoos. Now they're in a prison cell in a terrorist prison in El Salvador. Christy Noem's in front of them doing selfies. Like, literally, like, so, and that's the other thing with homelessness, it's look, I know there's a housing crisis. I know it. And I know, yes, I understand. But honestly, the Democrats take way too much money and all of the housing projects and all the attempts at curbing it are all corrupt. And so what's the answer? Say it.
Nothing.
Finish your thought. And the thought is sometimes you got to criminalize people. Sometimes it's okay to lock people up. Sometimes they should be deported. You know what I'm saying?
You can't be on the other side of it too. She frames it usually in such a way where it's like, if they're talking about crime, it's like, are you actually on the side of the mad stabber who stabs out grandmother's eyeballs every day? Are you taking that side? And it's like, no, but this is an isolated case. Is this indicative of a broader trend? Is this happening all the time? Are Venezuelans coming over here and stabbing grandmother's eyes out? But if you pick this scary ass story, of course everyone's frightened. Of course, like I'm not gonna sit here and defend the eye
But she
stabber.
picks it on purpose. She picks it to talk to us, to chide us. That's what she's talking to us, right? And that's why I find it so sloppy and lazy and dangerous. And I do think that the origin that she constantly talks about of chat was mean to her about talking about being assaulted by an unhoused person or being sort of groped, right? It was scary, obviously. But I actually think I found the first video, and I know she's probably watching this, and there's like a 10% chance I could be wrong on this, but I think it was when she actually interviewed a guy who wrote a book called San Francisco that was called How Progressives Ruin Cities. And it was basically blaming, progressives for like allowing drug addicts to run rampant. And it's not just about housing. Some people don't want to be housed.
That's the Michael Schellenberger book. He's the guy who took over the Twitter files when Elon Musk and oh my
Matt Taibbi,
God, had the falling out. So that's a great source to
So this is like 2020, 2021. I'm on the second hour. She's on the first hour. I run in there and the chat is livid. And I'm like, what is happening? And they were like, yo, she was platforming this guy. He was saying all this stuff. But within that interview, she does share that story of being groped. And she took that and was like, see, the chat thing is downplaying something that was done to me. And it's like, no, they're mad because this guy is a fascist. This guy's awful on these issues. And he's not interested in having serious conversations about mental health, addiction, and actually, the unhoused population. Like, so that is what I think the origin story. And again, there's 10% that I could be wrong on this. She might have shared this. I didn't watch TYT all the time. So there might be TYT people who are like, nah, she told the story before, which could be, but I was on the show that day. It's just wild, of course.
Yeah, because I was always curious about that because I've heard her say that before about how the left made fun of her for telling her story. Which, I mean, I didn't know if somebody had done that, and if any leftist had done that, then I unequivocally, obviously denounced that. I think that's terrible to downplay. Which
the left doesn't make fun of people getting fucking sexually abused. Like that's not what the left is about. We don't do that.
One thing to minimize it. So I never knew what she was referring to with that. And a lot of it seems to be them just like saying, like Cenk often brings up how he was called a Nazi. And it's like, I don't know who's calling you a Nazi. Is it Lance that you're insinuating called you a Nazi? Is it Matt? They are clearly shadow boxing a lot of the time. And they're arguing against straw men. And I feel like they're being purposefully obtuse specifically because the same things we are arguing at them are what they argued at us. I mean, 6 months before Anna Kasperi made her famous birthing person tweet, she was making that same argument, right? She was talking about how Professor Kiara Bridges and Josh Hawley were going toe-to-toe because she said person with the capacity for pregnancy, and he started to attack her for that, woke language or whatever. It's been a while, so my memory's a little bit foggy. Yeah. And she was talking about how he was just using that as a distraction. Trans people are not your enemy. And a few months later, all of a sudden, I guess that it's not a distraction. And using that kind of language is woke and it's bad or whatever. Not to like put words in her mouth. I don't want to strawman her after accusing her of strawmanning us, but like it's just they've all done this 180, her and Cenk in particular. And it's frustrating that all of a sudden, we've gotten to this point where Francesca is beyond the pale, Sam Cedar's beyond the pale, Lance is beyond the pale. Who's not beyond the pale?
Sam Cedar's the ultimate grifter, according to
Brianna Wu.
Ultimate grifter, Sam Cedar.
Yeah.
Brianna Wu, Ben Glebe. I mean,
they're fine. they can participate in the marketplace of ideas.
Platforming Ben Glebe is truly like it's like platforming a Nazi. I'm very
It's genocide
confident in-
apologia, straight up.
I'm very confident in saying that. Like, you cannot, and they get clicks, and that's whatever.
Ben Gleb's a fucking Zionist, genocidal, insane person. Jesus Christ.
But like, it's straight trash that comes out of his mouth. Absolute garbage, absolute lies. He's also presenting. It's not like he's just coming in and be like, hey, what do you think? We know you're very, Zionist, whatever. He's actually presenting stories about Gaza. And, Anna, oh, how dare you have us censor somebody? And it's like, the last thing I'll say on this is like, I've always been open to debate. I've always wanted to have debate. In fact, about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, around the trans athletes issue, I told Cenk called me and he was like, hey, just so you know, like TYT show, the main flagship show, we're going to be more like, he didn't say moderates, but like mainstream progressives. We're going to do like mainstream, right. Like cool, centrism. Okay. And then because that's what they are and they don't, it's fine to be a centrist. It's okay. It's okay to be a centrist. I don't like you. I don't like your politics, but anyway. But then I floated to him. I was like, why don't we just have a debate? I think the audience would love it. You and Anna, me and John will talk about it. We'll hash it out. I think folks will be never like, no. So this whole idea of like, I've had this debate. We can totally, I'm an open book. It's like, you're pretending that me saying that you acted like a bitch to, again, only my patrons that good old Hank clipped up. And like, it's just like pretending that was the massive slight. And, or the fact that I said that his brain was broken, like as if that was like a racial slur. Like, well, calm down.
I said his brain is broken too. I put it in like the thumbnails because his brain is broken. He's very clearly crashing out. But to your point, Francesca, like in bringing up, Ben Glebe and Brianna Wu, my contention isn't that Cenk should deplatform them. But what I'm saying is that I feel like it is disingenuous to platform them and debate them, but you won't offer that same thing to Francesca or Sam Cedar. You'll talk to right-wing fascists like Charlie Kirk, an explicit racist white supremacist, but yet you won't have that same conversation with Sam Cedar. That's what's so frustrating to me, is because the energy that they save for the left, like the vitriol that they refer to the left with on a daily basis, like that's not there for the Zionists. Well, unless he's on Piers Morgan, then he does do a great job. It's not there though for for anyone but the left. Like
and I told him that privately.
Like what?
So privately, before I asked Cenk to come on to have the debate, I privately called him and I said the exact same thing. And I was like, you seem to have so much grace for, some people on the right. And I just wish you would extend that same grace to people who were once your allies, who were on your network, who really want, whatever, our side to win, for again, justice, democracy to prevail. And he's like, nah, because again, we're talking about a really thin-skinned person. Like, it sucks, but he is. And it's just like, that can't be your guy. You know what I'm saying? Like someone who's like, like, it's just like all I'm saying is like, can you reserve some grace for people who agree with you on 98% of other issues? And it's like, he is constantly, again, every accusation is a confession. Oh, but you got to stand in line. You got to do this. And you got to. And it's like, but only one of us is yelling right now, man. Like,
and it's not like what I find amazing. For years, he's talked about how Democrats are too nice. They got to fight harder. You got to fight. Don't be afraid to fight. And when somebody fights him and challenges him,
he's like, "Oh, it's not fair.
We got to have a beer together." Like, what the? I thought you were the guy that's all about fighting, like about fighting for what you believe in. And someone does it to you, and you can't stand it. Like, it's been wild to witness the whole just the complete destruction of that network because of both Anna and him.
And I think
I will say, like, I again, I don't know what happened in the background, but it was always like at least one feather in his cap that, like, he may be fighting with you about this stuff and he may have horrible opinions, but he at least his long-standing contributors, he let them still do that, like, on the network, like, even though they were disagreeing with him and talking shit about him. And I say that usually even about the right wingers that reach it, that do stuff with left wingers, like, whatever you think about this person, the fact that they engage and we have these discussions, I think that's something, the one thing that's a feather in their cap. But like apparently he doesn't even want that anymore.
Right. I mean, you look, like, I'm not saying I should stay on the network. I do think it sucks, and I have a lot of hard opinions and sad opinions about the damage report. But I think it sucks because while they weren't going to book me anymore, and I knew that tacitly on the main show, John and I are good friends, and I go on there every week. And he has since been barred, and so has Dr. Rashad Ritchie been barred from having me on Damage Report or Indisputable, which is really sad. And I do think it kind of speaks to the work culture that John does not feel comfortable in saying, this is my show, and I would like to book who I would like to book. And I do think there is a general lack of respect for the people and autonomy for the people who actually make Jank and the network a lot of money. And you know what? The other thing is, it's not that much money. I know that they have a lot of people to pay. I understand that. But then, like what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, scale back if you need to scale back. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you need, like, it's just like, that's not a reason to have poor workplace practices. If anything, you'd have more buy-in when you give people more freedom. You'd have people working harder for you. But again, I also know that they consistently deny, and I said this in my video, deny people bonuses when they're making hella money for them. And it's like, nah, not enough. And it's just like, he's cheap. I'm sorry. He's cheap. And the other thing is like, I got paid for my appearances, not a lot, but I got paid. I relied on that income for a while. And I remember when I got paid, the head of programming told me, don't tell anybody that you're getting paid. Right? So something to know.
I was on there a few times, never got paid. Not that I expected to, but
right.
Yeah, I didn't expect to, because I was just a contributor to a power panel. So I was like, I'm getting on a bigger.
Sure, but if you're consistently going on,
I was on the main show like the first hour a few times.
I think if you're making content, like you're actually editing a segment, you're writing a script or thinking of an idea, you're basically presenting it, and like you were doing this for them, right? And then you would have
I was a guest host, but also I was paid for my time, and I think that's the right thing to do. And it doesn't have to be tons of money, right? But I think it is the right thing to do. It is time out of your day, you know, and it can't just be for like, thank you for the platform, sir. And you know, they also obviously went back on a contract they signed with me in 2018. They do a lot of people dirty. In 2018, it was like I was hired for 2 weeks, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, just kidding." And my reps were like, "You need to sue them." And I was like, "I don't want to, because I want to maintain a good relationship with them." And you know, you've heard Ben Dixon's stories. We all know Hank, the editor, part-time editor's stories, the union busting stories. It's like, the guy doesn't necessarily believe in workplace democracy. He doesn't believe in even transparency. And I know that also firsthand, that it's a very opaque company. Nobody really knows what anyone else is doing. The strategy isn't clear. And I'm gonna go, but the last thing I'll say is that's part of, I think, what has happened with the Anna, Jank, Thelma Louise situation, is that Anna was for so long kept away from decision making. She was just a presenter, and she was pissed about it. It sucked for her. And I was someone who super encouraged her to like fight for it, don't leave, ask for more power, ask for more, you know, editorial control. Oops. Because
what have you created?
What did I do?
Maybe she should have left.
Yeah, well, yeah, and she has a lot of control, and I think Jank, out of a sense of paternalism, responsibility, feeling like maybe he did her wrong in the early years, didn't, you know, give her enough buy-in, I think is allowing her to take the network in not a great direction, and now obviously he's all on board with it. So that is my sort of like psychoanalysis of, again, what I think is a really toxic relationship that actually they will turn on one another. We will see that happen. My kid
Ariana,
is crying.
to jump in too.
Oh, no worries. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
No, Ariana,
Francesca.
please, you haven't said anything. If there's anything.
No, I just want to say real quick, like back when we were talking about other things, I think it was really telling about how he responded to you when you challenged him, but then with Charlie Kirk, he was like, okay, it's okay, let's just go on to the next thing. And it's like, when he speaks to leftists, especially, like, you know, he does this thing where he yells and he becomes very animated. He even does it with Hassan, which, mind you, Hassan has also talked about the work conditions at TYT2, and he also said that he got screwed over by his own uncle, although he didn't harbor any bad feelings. But I just kind of want to end this by saying, what I'm saying by saying, I feel like TYT had the potential of being like Zateo. They had the potential of grabbing a lot of people who are younger, more fresh, turning them into contributors, even if it's a little bit of money, helping them sustain, just put food on the table, because we all know how hard it is when we first start out. But instead, they've gone down this weird road, and it's really sad because left media is already very minimal compared to Republican media. Like, we all saw that graph that just got released. Like, there's not a lot of us out here, and the ones that are out here, we're getting completely overpowered by Republican and right-leaning media. And it's just like, we never see this kind of divide between Republicans, but in our side, this is like so common. This is why I feel like sometimes we can't get shit done. We just continuously, like, not we, but there's certain people with power, you know?
The infighting does suck. And again, lastly, like, I do think that the invitation always stands. I'm super down for Anna to litigate tell me why I'm wrong about the LA fires. Tell me why I'm wrong about Tren de Aragua. Tell me why I'm wrong. Like, I'm super open to still having these conversations. But I guess Cenk wanted to pull the ripcord and know more. And I get it. It is weird to be like, thank you for my money after I called you a bitch. Like, I totally agree with that. But also, like, you're big, I'm small. You know what I mean? And I think there is this weird sense of power. Like, they're acting like they're not this massive platform, like they're not this massive network, and that we all have what they have, and we really don't. But I agree with you, Ariana, that, like, ultimately we should have honest conversations about most people aren't on board with trans athletes, so how do we have to, like, do we pivot to other issues? How do we humanize trans people? Like, well, what is the answer? Like, it's not just one thing. I don't think anyone's saying that. But again, they really have just a self-fulfilling little, like, sick little prophecy between them. And they don't actually, there's not a lot of daylight. There's not a lot of disagreement. And also their brains are broken by the internet and the clickbait algorithm. I'm sorry. Like, you do this for long enough.
Watching
and it's like,
videos of themselves.
I know. And you just, and
you're
you're
gonna
just
watch
like,
this.
Yeah, and like, you know, you can tell when they go to the RNC and, like, Rudy Giuliani comes on and, you know, it's like, hello, you know, and it's like they're super softballing him, you know, and then Charlie Kirk stops by and you're like, oh yeah, these are just like characters. These are all just caricatures, right? Like, this is not real. And I really would hate to ever be that kind of content creator that, like, none of this is real. I'm just kind of a caricature.
It's real, y'all. It's real.
You should probably tell everyone where they can find you now, since UIT's
Hell
biggest
yeah.
mistake.
There are links in the chat so everyone can get access to them.
Oh yeah, thank you for I don't know how to do that because I don't know why. But thank you for having me on. Thanks for letting me talk a lot. At Franny Fio, FRANIFIO on YouTube with Habituation Room. I'll stream tomorrow at 1 p.m. And listen wherever you get your podcasts. And yeah, I'm on Zateo for America Unhinged for the first 100 days. We'll see if it continues. But hell yeah, I hope you to come back, guys, and have you on the shows. And I love you all, and you're the best.
We love you. Thank you so much. And
Aw.
also, check her out on Patreon. What's your Patreon?
Patreon.com/bituationroom. Spell it out.
All right, folks.
Bituation Room.
We'll link to that in the
Cenk is a
description, too.
bituation.
Thank you so much.
And with that,
Damn.
That was a great exit.
All right, y'all. I think I'm gonna end it here. Thank you guys for watching today's stream. Oh, we didn't get to it. Oh, you know what? Mega greenlights war with Mexico. Do you guys want to watch that yourself?
So I reported to you guys, actually on day one, the Mexican drug cartels as terrorist organizations. Now, the reason he's doing that is so that Trump can decide unilaterally on his own, I'm going to invade Mexico. I'm going to do drone strikes in Mexico. I'm going to do airstrikes in Mexico. I'm going to send special forces into Mexico. And that executive order will give him the veneer of legal authority to do it. Because if you say they're terrorists, then the next step is, oh, they count under the same authorization for use of military force that was used for the war on terror under the Bush administration. So you see what it is? It's a Weasley, slimy way. It's a loophole and a backdoor way to greenlight war with Mexico without it even having to get through Congress. So I already reported that to you. And they're already making noise like they're going to invoke the Insurrection Act over the southern border, over Tren de Aragua, and over drug cartels and gangs. And that would be another backdoor way to do the Insurrection Act and martial law, to say all protests against Trump are illegal. This is what they're doing. He's trying to consolidate power. That's what he's trying to do. Now, the Republicans in the House are trying to give him further cover. So they're on board with it. Look at this, exclusive. GOP moves to authorize Trump to wage war on cartels through military force. By the way, let's be clear. A better way of describing that is war with Mexico. It's not just a war on the cartels. It's war with Mexico. And why would they want war with Mexico? Claudia Sheinbaum is the leader of Mexico, part of the Morena party, which was the same as AMLO. She's a leftist, and she has an 85% approval rating, and she's repeatedly stood up to Trump. You think they would actually just target the cartels? I got a fucking bridge to tell you if you think that. No, they want to do regime change there. They want to do fucking regime change there. These are not ragtag bands of low-level lawbreakers, but organized criminal enterprises that profit off death and addiction, said Representative Greg Steube. Congressman Greg Steube is introducing a resolution today to empower the Trump administration to take a sledgehammer to the cartels by authorizing the president to use the full force of the American military against 9 of the largest migrant criminal groups that have been wreaking havoc on American cities. One of the criminal groups included in the resolution is Tren de Aragua, also known as TDA, which is an international gang tied to the murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. By the way, there are literally hundreds of Tren de Aragua members in this country. Hundreds. That's it. That's it. It's not thousands. It's not tens of thousands. The idea that this is like an invasion into this country and we'll declare war over it is preposterous. It's preposterous. So anyway, they go on here. But again, understand what's going on here. This is taking the idea of the war on drugs, which has been just an abject failure, and putting it on steroids and human growth hormone and saying, what if we took this from like a police force issue, which it's not and it shouldn't be, and escalated to a military issue? And what if we did an illegal war with Mexico? Same guy that on the campaign trail would virtue signal half the time and say, I'm anti-war. The people, Liz Cheney just wants to shoot people. Kamala Harris is a warmonger. Same guy. Now he's in there. I'm going to steal Panama. I'm going to steal Greenland. I'm going to steal Gaza. We want war with Mexico. We want war with Iran for Israel. I'm going to brag about bombing Yemen. I'm going to brag about bombing Somalia. The guy has never met a fucking war he didn't love. And this allows him to further consolidate power, money, power, and control. That's what it's all about for Trump, for his robber baron buddies like Elon Musk. And just be prepared, because there's already I'm fearing April 20th. I'm fearing April 20th because Trump signed an executive order on day one saying Kristi Noem and Pete Hegseth need to give me a report in 90 days. 90 days would be 420. And you're going to tell me whether or not to invoke the Insurrection Act, whether or not you think there's a war going on where criminal migrants have invaded us, and I get to invoke the Insurrection Act, send the military to our border, do war with Mexico, and ban all protests here at home, saying any protest is illegal. When have you known Donald Trump to say, I know you're offering me more power and you're saying I should take it, but I'm going to pass on that? When have you known that to happen? So holy shit, man. It's all happening. It's all happening right in front of our eyes. And now the Republicans, if anybody thought, oh, maybe the Republicans in the House will stand up to Trump's insane warmongering, knowing it might tank their approval rating, might screw the Republican Party, they're proposing bills in Congress to validate his illegal executive order saying, we love the idea of war with Mexico. They are serious. They are serious.
We are fucked, y'all. I'm gonna see y'all later. Good night, everybody.
In the land of the tyrant, where the sun never sets, we march to the beat of oppression's drums.